makes two changes to the Ayr United side that also lost to Dundee United, although that was in midweek on Wednesday night. Out go Harkins and Moore. They're replaced by Farid El Alagui and Alan Forrest. They'll line up with Greg Fleming in goals, a back four of Nicky Devlin, Balatoni, Meggett and Boyle. Midfield four of Robbie Crawford, Brian Gilmer, Mike Rose and Ross Docherty, and Alan Forrest is playing off of El Alagui. They'll have Hart on the bench with Murphy, Moore, Wardrope, Harkins, Kearney and McGuffey. Our referee is Gavin Duncan.
Yeah, and what about that prediction, Des?
Oh, prediction, Ruffy. Oh no, I'll give you a prediction. I think St Mirren will win. It's the sixth time they have faced Ayr United this season, and I think they're going to finish up with another victory. They've beaten them 3 times already. I watched them down at Somerset Park only a few weeks ago. They were dominant in that game, and I think Jack Ross's players know exactly what's at stake today, and I think they'll deliver 3 points back to Paisley to put the pressure on not just Ayr United but also Dumbarton and Raith Rovers just above them.
Yeah, you won't be aware of this, Des. I mean, the reporting game and journalists normally are very serious when it comes to looking ahead to a game. But behind you, the Dundee reporter Jim Spence was dancing to the music, and it wasn't very pleasant to see a middle-aged man move to that type of music.
I'll make sure Spency knows. Oh bloody, Desmond had a barrel in the marketplace, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't sing too much about, or we'll have to pay performing rights, Des, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, good to see Spency moving there as he does in many a Dundee nightclub.
I don't think it was a dance. I think it was just an adverse reaction to prescription medication. I think once you get to our age, that's what can happen to like me and Spencer. So I think it was just a reaction.
Who's going to win it?
Nobody. I think it's a draw.
St Mirren for me, home.
Yep, St Mirren for you. Okay, so there you have it. Predictions on the championship as well. We're getting ever closer to the big kick-off. One match is finished already. Liverpool 3, Everton 1 in the Merseyside derby. And we're getting ready after this break. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday football show. Alan Ruff and Hugh McDonald are with me, Peter Martin, over the course of the 4 hours. As soon as the match kicks off, we will be covering all the games across all 4 divisions in Scotland: Premiership, Championship, League One and League Two. Here's the fixtures in the Premiership, first of all, that you want to keep your eye on. We'll be going back, actually, incidentally, to New St Mirren Park just before kick-off, and we might just sneak into Dumbarton as well. But Dundee 0, Aberdeen 7 was last night's match, an emphatic victory for the Dons. What's going to happen today, with the emphasis, I think, very much on the bottom of the table? Hamilton against St Johnstone, Inverness, Cally, Thistle, Kilmarnock, Partick Thistle, Ross County, Rangers against Motherwell, and of course that Hearts Celtic at 12:30 on Sunday. Championship, there you have it. What's on offer on the Championship is, of course, St Mirren taking on Ayr United. As you can see at the bottom, Queen of the South Dundee United, Falkirk Wraith Rovers, Dunfermline Hibs and Dumbarton against Morton. So that's what you can look forward to. Des is out there at the 2021 stadium. What's the crowd like there for this one? Because this is the nail-biting end of the season, Des.
Yes, it is, Peter, and it's filling up quite nicely. There's a decent crowd in already around us across on the far side. There's a decent little number coming up from Ayr United as well. So, yeah, looks as if both sets of fans are getting behind their sides just as they need it. I mentioned earlier, 7 games to go for St Mirren. Notably, 4 of them at home are against the teams. 3 of them at home are against the teams directly above them in 9th, 8th, and 7th. The 4 away games are against 1, 2, 3 and 4 in the division. So again, obviously the importance of getting home victories, home points, to make sure that they stay within the second tier of Scottish football. And in the last 6 games across all the teams in the division, they've actually got the best record. They've only had 1 defeat in the last 7. So St Mirren fans turning up today after the disappointment of the cup final last Saturday. They're here full of enthusiasm and looking for a victory to give St Mirren that fighting chance of staying in the Championship.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, as we get to the business end of the season, Des, who do you think's going down?
Who do I think's going down?
Yeah.
Peter, sorry, the noise in the background. Is that what you asked? Who do I think's going down?
Yes.
Sorry, Peter. I think it's really close to call, clearly. I've got a feeling that Wraith Rovers might get dragged into it. I know John Hughes is getting in there. If they finish bottom, I would be very surprised. I think it's going to be between the two sides today. I think Dumbarton have got enough about them, but I think Ayr United will finish bottom.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Ruffy, what do you make of Des's opinion there?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Ayr United and Dumbarton will be the two that will be in trouble at the end of the season. And which of the two? Obviously, I've got a wee preference for Ayr because I played down there for a while.
Oh yeah.
So that comes into it a wee bit. So I would think Dumbarton.
Yeah, okay. Hugh, you haven't played for Ayr United, so there's no real sentimentality.
No. But I was on the shore at Ayr once.
Yeah.
I've been at Butlins. I was at Butlins once.
Technically, yeah.
Where I actually saw Ruffy training. You used to do a wee goalkeeping course at Butlins.
Yes, I used to get in the summer and take the kids on a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
But I think it's fascinating. I think Wraith Rovers are the team that could get really dragged into this and get dragged into it big time, because they've just been on free fall for a while. And if somebody, I think there's enough about Ayr and just to get out of that bottom position. Today's vital, but I think Wraith Rovers are if you push me for a team that's in free fall, it'd be Wraith Rovers I would be really worried about.
Yeah, okay, that's an interesting one there. So there's certainly going to be a few twists and turns with regards to the bottom end of it. Well, from Paisley, we might switch our attention to a game that has implications at the bottom end of the table as well. Dumbarton taking on Morton. I just wonder, I haven't asked you the question before, Kevin, who do you think's going to go down and who will be in the playoff?
I think here in Dumbarton, Peter, I'm not sure what way it'll go. I don't know what one will be. I'm a bit unsure. I think Dumbarton could be the bottom coming end of it. I've said before that I believe St Mirren will get out of it. You know, Errolford are on a good wee run just now, but I just think that St Mirren will have a wee bit too much come the end of it. And Dumbarton being part-time, you know, I always think that they struggle come the end of the season.
Yeah, and I can hear the crowd applauding in the background, which tells me the teams are coming out. Kevin, what's the crowd like there?
It's a good crowd, Peter. Just having a look about, it's a good crowd for Dumbarton. But you know, for me, it's just disappointing that there's only one stand. You know, I think for me, if all teams in your first and second division should be full time, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think at the moment, you know, it's difficult enough for clubs to actually try and make a bit of money. I can understand where Kevin's coming from. I think it's ever more difficult for teams to actually stay full time.
Absolutely, and I think we're going to have our first games just kicked off at Parrhead, but. Yeah, I think the mechanics and the economics of football is going to make it even more difficult, Peter, frankly, to sustain in the Championship even full-time football. But it is so vital. I mean, I thought Kevin raised an interesting point there when he's talking about Dumbarton being part-time. And I know there's a lot of part-time players at Ayr. Yeah. And will that tell at the end of the season? Do you think so, Ruffy? What's your views?
I don't think that the Ayr United situation isn't completely full-time. I think they go down one day or something like that, or 2 days, and then they join in with the rest of the boys. But I think the guys that are full-time, like Queen of the South, who are a full-time set-up, Falkirk a full-time set-up, you know, even Dunfermline, you know, in the end that might pay off, because they've obviously got bigger pools than the others, but certainly when it comes to the crunch, it doesn't matter who you are. If you don't hold your nerve, you're going to be in trouble.
Yep, there's only 4 points between 3 clubs at the bottom. St Mirren on 27, then 2 on 31, Ayr United and Dumbarton, and as Ruffy mentioned, they are 2 points ahead of Ayr United and Dumbarton, are Wraith Rovers. So that's how the Championship looks this afternoon. What about League 1 and League 2? Here's League 1 fixtures for you for the afternoon. We'll keep you up to date with Alloa Albion Rovers, Brecon City Livingston, East 5 Queen's Park, Peterhead Airdrie, Stranraer against Dennismuir, and in League 2, Annan Athletic against Arbroath, Cowdenbeath Clyde, Elgin City Berwick Rangers, Montrose against Edinburgh City, and Stirling Albion against Forfar. And in the Premier League in England, Liverpool 3, Everton 1 is the full-time score from the early kick-off. It's Burnley, Tottenham, Chelsea against Crystal Palace, Hull, West Ham, Leicester, Stoke, Manchester United against West Brom, Watford, Sunderland, and Southampton against Bournemouth is the 5:30 kick-off. And games are underway now. Just on that basis, Ruffy, who's going to win Rangers against Motherwell?
I think obviously Rangers, a new manager, a good result last week. I think they're favourites for this game. I think they'll win it eventually. I think Motherwell will make it hard for them, but I think Rangers could win possibly 2-0 today.
Okay, Hugh?
An early goal will be crucial for Rangers, settle in the nerves, take the sting out of Motherwell, but I think Rangers will be good enough to win that match.
Yep, Hamilton Accy St Johnstone.
It's getting to the stage where, you know, Hamilton Accies really, you know, have to be winning rather than taking up points. I think St Johnstone have been, you know, pretty decent away from home. So I would think St Johnstone might win that.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem, only 4 wins all season, Ruffy, for Hamilton Accies. 12 draws has literally landed them deep in trouble. St Johnstone, would you bet against them?
Yeah, and I would hazard a guess, having not got other stats in front of me, that these draws would all be probably 1 each, you know, because they don't seem to have the capability when it is 1 each to get that winning goal. So today I think it'll be similar. I think, as I said earlier, I think the bonus will be the boy McLean's not playing for St Johnstone, but I still think St Johnstone will have good enough to maybe just nick it by the odd goal.
Inverness Kilmarnock?
Inverness, I'm going to go for an Inverness win. I know they've got a couple of players out as well, but I think they're fighting tooth and nail, and I think they'll just sneak it again by the odd goal.
I fancy Kilmarnock. I think, you know, I think this is a great opportunity for them today, even to take a point. Just would be, you know, crucial from where they are, and I'm not convinced about Inverness. I haven't been convinced them for for some time. So I'll think Kilmarnock will win.
Yeah, Partick Thistle, Ruffy against Ross County.
Yeah, come back to me in the 3rd minute of injury time and I'll be able to give you a prediction in that one, because that's when it usually happens with Partick Thistle. That's when you get the correct score.
Yeah.
I think they'll just think that. They've got Erskine, they've got Doolan, they've got Lawless, they've got possibly our best team on the park today. But as we know, Jim McIntyre will come down fighting tooth and nail. But as Hugh said, if Ross County get beat today, they're banging trouble as well.
Yeah, this could be a big day for Thistle. If they could somehow engineer the win, it might be able to put a bit of distance between themselves and Kilmarnock.
Yeah, and I've watched them a few times this season, Thistle, and I think they deserve it at the top 6. I really do think they play really good football, and they try to play. And I think they've been unlucky, losing a lot of goals, late on as well. But I take Thistle to win that.
Yeah, I can tell you Motherwell have just scored Louis Moult, so Rangers 0, Motherwell 1. There's a turn up for the books. 4 minutes gone, Robbie, and Moult has scored.
Yeah, and that's used to be what was happening to Rangers at the beginning of the season, and then they were hanging on the last 10 minutes and getting goals into injury time. But that'll be the massive boost for Motherwell. But let's not forget, Mark McGee had probably one of his worst interviews ever the last time at Ibrox when they lost the 2 late goals. Said it was the worst experience he's ever had in his professional career. So that'll be the first thing that's going to register in the back of his mind. What do I do to make sure that doesn't happen? And they'll have to defend a lot better than what they did that day.
Annan Athletic 0, Arbroath 1. Ryan McCord scored the goal. Cesc Fabregas is the goal scorer for Chelsea. They're a goal up on Crystal Palace and marching on towards the title as well. We had Ian McGarry on as our correspondent on all things Premier League last night. I think from his point of view, he was hinting, Hugh, that Eden Hazard is happy in London. It would take something special. I always think when Real Madrid come calling, that is special.
Yeah, but the great thing about having correspondents on like Ian McGarry is that they know things that they're almost embedded around the situation that we aren't 500 miles away.
Yeah.
It's all about nods and winks and what he's picking up for the training ground. I agree that when when push comes to shove, you're going to be really interested in Real Madrid, but I could still see him staying at Chelsea.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Paisley. Something's happened. Des McKeown. Okay, we'll try and get back to Des. The reason why he can't hear us is because there's a huge din in the background. I wonder if he can hear us now and explain that goal. Des McKeown. Well, I don't think he can hear us at the moment. Yeah, I think we'll go back to Des to get him because quite simply we're having a communication problem with him at the moment, but nevertheless St Mirren have scored, they're in the lead.
Yeah. Well, that's a good reaction for last week. I'm sure there'll be a lot of disappointing players losing that final, but they've bounced back and to get an early goal, I think they could run out quite easily winners here.
Yeah, the other great Glaswegian word, in fact Scottish word, never mind Glaswegian, it's always nice to see a reporter with a glaikit look on his face. You try to go to him 3 times, but I think Des is switched on now. Des, what's happened there?
Des is switched on. Des was switched on. We couldn't hear anything because of the celebrations in the background, Peter. Stevie Mallon from about 25 yards has drilled an absolute perler into the bottom corner. It came from a free kick he took just down in front of us here, directly to the back post. It got knocked back out. Stevie Mallon had made the strides forward and he smashed it into the bottom corner. 1-0 to St Mirren. 5 minutes gone.
Okay, and there'll be more action there, but again, the key element, we had Stephen McGinnon, Ruffy, and he mentioned that the strength in the midfield now, the confidence of the players. Stevie Mallon, of course, is one of those players who's been involved at the under-21 level as well for Scotland.
Yeah, I've said this on numerous occasions. When it gets to the really crucial part of a season, you sit in the dressing room and you look about the dressing room. Who's my match winners? Who are the guys who are going to win this game for us? And if you've got McGinn and you've got Mallon, they're the 2 guys you'll be looking at. and 9 out of 10 times they don't disappoint you. You know, they lift everybody about the dressing room.
But who was looking at you in the dressing room then? Was there the big
I was
and you
under
big
pressure
gazes
every week.
Aye,
You know, you can imagine. You know, having to pull out the stops.
super.
You know,
Did you have the old? Did you have your, the big S on you, the cape?
Had to tuck the cape in underneath my
the
jersey.
Yeah,
just, you know,
absolutely. And it was an old Admiral jersey you used to wear, Rocky. The old yellow
I used
one.
to use whatever international game I had played in that month, if I liked it, whether it was a New Zealand jersey, and nobody seemed to bother about the contracts of who you had to wear or not. And
was the North Korea jersey tight on you, or were you able to stretch that one out?
No, I definitely never wore it. I don't think I played against North Korea, did I?
No, absolutely not. Okay.
But you're right, my favourite, I wore the Ray Clements Admiral jersey for a whole season. The one that Kenny Dalglish put the ball through his legs. With that one. I just noticed there that the rumours are rife that Charlie Nicholas is saying that Brendan Rodgers could be the #1 choice for Arsenal if Arsene Wenger was to leave. He's up there with the big noises. I don't know if you would agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's too early for him. I'll tell you who I think. We're right out of left field for them. Tell you who I think they should go for if they've got any ambition.
And I'll tell you why they're not going to go for him.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Okay, well, can I ask you something?
Just write down Diego Simeone.
Yes, absolutely. I really do think he's a bit of edge to him. You know, a really proven track record, Champions League finals.
Absolutely, and a winner, a guy who'd bring winning in the. I just think that the Arsenal board, they used to call it the Bank of England club, might be a bit sniffy about,
an Argentinian.
Well, and his background and the way he behaves himself. Remember, this is a guy that's gone on to. We talk about Jim Duffy and Neil Lennon, but this is a guy who went on to the end of a Champions League Cup final and tried to deck a player in Varane of Real Madrid. This is a guy who threw the ball onto a park to stop a breakaway, shouting to the referee, "There's 2 balls on the park." I mean, I love him. You know, it's my Spanish team, and I've been to see Atletico Madrid a couple of times this season. I saw them earlier on playing Sporting Gijón in the Calderon, and they were superb. They were superb.
If they won the Champions League with that?
I don't know. I just get this feeling that he's not an Arsenal manager. I would take him in a minute.
Well, listen, I'll tell you this. Here's a wee turn up. So soon after Fabregas had put Chelsea in front, Crystal Palace equalised, and now Crystal Palace are 2-1 in front. Christian Benteke has scored the goal. That would be a huge win for Palace at the bottom. I don't think anybody's anticipating that one. We were indeed talking about other issues in the Premier League last night. One of them, of course, David Moyes. The Sunderland board have said they'll stick by him. That is, of course, if the Sunderland board's still there next season.
Exactly. I mean, but they've got to stick by somebody because there's stuff going on there that they need some kind of stability. They just keep flirting with relegation. Don't seem to have any long-term plan. I think they're down. Livingston have scored, by the way. They're 1-0 up at Brecon, champing towards another championship for Livingston. Good on them. But going back to the Arsenal thing, I mean, I wouldn't rule out somebody like Rodgers. I mean, I think the Arsenal man would be looking at somebody that can develop players, that's got a good attacking style, that's good in front of the media, who's got a decent image, who's already done very well in the EPL. But the big rumour I was hearing all the time was Allegri, to come to England.
Massimiliano.
And he was interested in coming to it. I mean, the fact of the matter is, one of the great rumours that's going about now, it was given great credence this morning, is that Wenger's ready to sign a 2-year contract.
Yes, yeah.
Which is, to me, is astonishing. I mean, I think the guy. I mean, to be frank with you, the guy should be hunted.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Would you say the same of a manager here if you were? Would you say it if you weren't 500 miles away?
No. But I think with Wenger, I've been pretty long term in saying that he's well outlived his welcome. I mean, I was the same with Ranieri. I thought, remember that we didn't have a great, we had a bit of a debate, but I was saying Leicester were right to sack Ranieri. If you take all the emotion away from it, and it's been, I think in the short term, it's been proved a great decision. But Arsenal just can't go on like this with Wenger at the helm. it just can't go on.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was a great decision by Leicester because it helped the scurrilous players who downed tools to actually start playing again.
Yep.
St Mirren are leading by a goal to nil. Crystal Palace are 2-1 up on Chelsea. Liverpool defeated Everton by 3-1 in the Merseyside derby. And a lot of people texting us, emailing us. And I can tell you it's Dunfermline 0, Hibs 1. John McGinn has scored for the Highbees. They're a goal up there in the Championship as they march towards that title. A lot of people on Twitter and on Facebook as well. Robert Bruce, great name, says we all know Neil Lennon's got a bad temper. He needs to calm down. That's just one of the messages. And of course, Brian Evans has messaged us and says it was handbag stuff. This altercation between the two of them. Again, I didn't see at that time, I didn't see too many people looking to throw punches. It was pulling and pushing and, my dad's bigger than your dad. As far as the Twitter's concerned, at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter as well, and Laura makes a point here. I think it's insane. Everyone's discussing who's to blame when the whole thing was an unprofessional mess from both managers.
Yeah, and the thing about it is as well is the way he's gained arms and legs. I mean, as I said at the top of the show, this is a stereotypical, normal reaction. Manager A doesn't like a tackle, comes on and starts shouting and bawling about it. Manager B says, "Oh, you're trying to get my player sent off." Cue eruption.
Yeah, I think the biggest point from Neil Lennon's point of view is he doesn't want to be tagged as the one who started this. Now if you look at his interviews, I never started this. I stood my ground in my technical area. The Morton bench came into our technical area. They were the ones that were showing the aggression, and then it all kicked off. But the bottom line is they're all going to get done.
No.
It doesn't matter whether Neil's taking umbrage to Jim Duffy calling him the Hibs manager. He's not calling me by name. That is by the by. That is once they go up in front of the Beaks, they would be fined accordingly of what was on that video and what it says in the referee's report. And I think there'll be more than Jim Duffy, Neil Lennon. I think there'll be lots of other people.
Well, the player
thrown in.
The player, he's got a double done. I mean, that was a terrible tackle, and he was feigning injury as well. So he's got two charges to answer.
I don't think they'll take their eye off the ball. I mean, all this padding around it. I think if anything, the ban might be one thing, but I wonder if there might be some kind of repercussion about bringing the game into disrepute from the press conference. It's just a suggestion. I mean, if anything, I think on the issues, I think Jim at the moment, and I don't know what penalty it will be. I think Jim's more astute in the after-match press conferences than what Neil has been up to. I think Jim was more tongue in cheek when he walked in. I was in the press conference and I looked at it and I thought he's been clever with it.
Can I ask you then who did the press conference first?
Jim Duffy.
Well, then obviously somebody said to Neil Lennon, and you went to hear what Jim Duffy's just said there, and he's went into his press conference, obviously steam coming out his ears by what he's been led to believe that Jim Duffy has said. You're saying he tried to treat it very light-heartedly, when obviously Neil Lennon thinks, no, that wasn't light-hearted.
Well,
you come charging into my place, want to pull whatever, But I think the video evidence of everything there, that it was aggressive, it was violent, and it's something, as you says, happens at the dugout, but we don't want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, Donnie McLeod has sent us a message on Facebook as well. Great show, lads, enjoying it. Thank you, Donnie. We try and read out as many as possible. I actually read out people who don't like the show as well. I've done that for 20 years. I think it's always good to get a nice balance of likes and dislikes on this one.
And it's good to get Mrs. Ruff to get her views on national television as well.
Absolutely.
But to go back to West Ham have scored against Hull. What's going to happen with this thing next is really interesting, because what will happen is the compliance officer will look at it and they'll be offered. I think they'll be offered bans.
Yeah. Here's a 6-game ban.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's when it takes off again, because I don't think Neil Lennon's in the mood to accept anything. So I think this one will be one that, as we see in the newspapers, runs and runs.
Okay, it's an interesting one. Listen, I'm going to get your thoughts as well over the course of the afternoon. A bit of humility in football. Don't worry, it's not at the table on my left here. It's from Jose Mourinho. I thought it was interesting, his comments saying that he got it wrong with Bastian Schweinsteiger, the way he conducted himself, the way he completely blew him out of the first team squad. He got that wrong. So in the end, he couldn't deny him the move to Chicago Fire because, you know, although he would have needed him maybe in some games towards the end of the season, he thought, I owe you this. Is he being clever with it? Am I being too cynical?
So. I think he's been a bit clever with it. I mean, what Mourinho has done when he came in was he binned. People forget how many players he binned.
Yeah.
Schneiderlin now at Everton, Del Piero, the Dutch winger.
Which is perfectly within his right.
Absolutely. But Schweinsteiger binned. I mean, the amount of players that he actually said, you know what, I'm not interested in you. And I mean, a lot of managers do that. You know, big managers come in and say, this is my core. Van Gaal did it as well. But I don't think Schweinsteiger has... I think the interesting thing about this story is the brilliance of Schweinsteiger through all this. He just played it perfectly. You know, and it actually worked out for him. He just played it perfectly, tweeted nice stuff, did it. I remember he was getting a whack of money every week, and people say, oh, we want to play at his age. He's done an awful lot of playing. In fact, when I was in Germany, when he signed for Manchester United and talking to German journalists who were astonished that Manchester United bought him, but not because of Queen of the South have scored against Dundee United, not because of you know what he is as a player, but they were saying his knees are poor. They were going. He says he cannot play in the Premier League regularly. He, you know, it was. The birds in the trees were singing this, that this was not a guy that would play 30, 40 games in the Premier League. And so they were astonished he went there. He's got his money out of it and he moves on to Chicago Fire. But I think Jose's just been, you know, taking the heat out of it a wee bit, but I don't think he's got any regrets whatsoever.
Yeah, I think the one thing about it is Bastian Schweinsteiger, I agree with you. I think he acted with tremendous dignity out of it all. I think he came out of it with a lot of credit the way he conducted himself. Sometimes footballers are much maligned when they're trying to actually orchestrate a move out of a club, Ruffy. But I thought he acted impeccably.
I think you have to wait and hear his view of it, if you will hear of it. But certainly at the time, for a player of that magnitude, you know, to be just bumped. I mean, you can imagine what he must have been saying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a dicey one to go to St Mirren so soon after the goal, because I can hear the fans cheering, but I'm going to take my life in my hands and say, Des, what's happened there?
I can tell you, Peter, it's now 2-0 at St Mirren. It's a Stevie Mallon delivery from just down in front of us. It's a free kick delivered in. Gary McKenzie, towering centre half, gets his head on it, delivers the header right into the top corner. St Mirren 2, Ayr United 0.
Well, I think that really emphasises what we were talking about. We've got a treble, Ruffy. I just wonder, you know, what treble we have from today.
Yes, we do. We have St Mirren, we have Alloa and Livingston.
Yeah, and
so we're waiting in Alloa.
Yeah.
Alloa just scored.
So the three are up just now. So
okay, Inverness 0, Kilmarnock 1. Chris Boyd has scored the goal. I wonder if we can possibly have a chat. We'll come back to Kevin Harper and get a little chat with him as well, just to see if we can get a chat with him about Dumbarton against Morton. We'll come back to Kevin very shortly and see exactly what the score is there. In fact, let's go to Dumbarton. Kevin Harper.
Dumbarton here, Peter. Dumbarton 0, Morton 0, but Morton are in ascendancy, playing really good football. But the only thing is they've not created any chances, to be honest. But Dumbarton look really, really positive on the break. Score here is Dumbarton 0, Morton 0.
Okay, I mean, that's a key thing that Kevin has mentioned there, because I watched them against Hibs, and if anything, they do play really good football, but they just don't seem to have that presence in that final third. Do you know what I mean with that, Hugh?
Yeah, very much so. But that's where the big bucks are. I mean, you can improve players, you You can have good players in midfield. You can tell players to set up patterns of play. You can organise his defences. But the reason that the goals come with a big premium is that they're so important, obviously, in matches, and that's where the real quality costs you outstanding money. I mean, I watched Thistle, as I said, quite a lot this season, and Doolan's been smashing when he's come on. But when you've got players like Aziz at Partick Thistle, who's got everything in many ways, in that he's quick, he's strong, he's very eager, and he's very keen. But the fact of the matter is he's erratic in front of goal, and to be honest with you, that's why they're in the leagues they're in.
Yep. Derek Lyle got the goal for Queen of the South. They're a goal up on Dundee United. He just seems to be scoring forever and a day.
Yeah, I know, he's incredible. He just keeps on. These Scottish players that keeps on keeping on.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel a song coming on with that one. Also, I was going to say that there's a player who scored for Livingston that you actually eventually get round to interviewing.
Oh, did Liam
Buchanan
score? Well, Liam, I'm going to text him after this game, because I can now exclusively reveal to the world that when Liam and I were having a tete-a-tete in a coffee shop in the Ocean Terminal, he said, "You know what?" He said, "I think Ruffy and Peter have put a hex on me. Since I've been on the show, I've never scored." And I said, "Well, funny you should say that, Liam.
Yeah.
But I half saw Ruffy sticking pins into Liam Buchanan doll." So there you go.
Yep, absolutely. A wee bit of sprinkling of gold dust happens from time to time with certain players. I wonder if the player who scored another goal for St Mirren has been on our show. We're about to find out. Des McKeown.
Well done, Linda. Stephen McGinn has just knocked the ball in at the back post. Stelis Dimitriou down the right hand side. He goes past two challenges, right down to the byline, drills it across the face of goals. Couple of ricochets. Stephen McGinn on hand just to pop it in at the back post. St Mirren 3, Ayr United 0.
You see, Rob, you've got to have that insight into how a team's training in midweek. I've been out there, I've been watching the drills, the fitness, the mood in the camp, in the dressing room, and that's why I decided to opt for St Mirren in a win, and it's an emphatic win. There's no way back.
It certainly is. You have to congratulate the manager. You know, way back when we were all talking about the gap that was there and could they close it. And he stood by everything. Every time we interviewed him, he says, "No, I'm going to stick to everything I'm doing. I'm going to stick to the training. I believe in the players. I believe in what we're all doing," and the players believed it as well. And now he's getting a response, and certainly that result today.
That's a huge result.
If they win today, you know, which they will. I've done that before. I'm not doing that again. But if they do, I mean, the dressing room when they go in after the game will absolutely erupt, because that will be the belief that they'll have to get out of the predicament they're in.
Leicester 1, Stoke City 0.
Great decision, sacking on Yerry.
Yeah, it was just a fantastic. I mean, everyone's playing. Indeed, he scored the goal, but they're not going to get relegated now. I think they've saved themselves.
They're clear. Going back to the St Mirren thing as well, that air of confidence. I interviewed the chairman, Gordon Scott, a couple of weeks ago. Well, in the lead up to the Iron Brew Cup final. And he wasn't downplaying anything. He knew the seriousness of the situation he was in. But he says, "No, I've got the right manager here, and I think we've made the changes at Christmas, and we're really confident that we'll get out of it." And it's 26 minutes gone, 3-0 up. That's a big result. It really is a big. I mean, almost a result where you say Ayr just have to sort of keep themselves in it. Not get a doing, because they've got big games coming up now. To stay in the division.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. Now, let's get Des's thoughts on it, because he's out there at Paisley watching that game. Des?
Peter, the point I was going to make, I'm listening to you guys in the studio talking about the turnaround at St Mirren. If you look at the bench today, Jamie Langfield, arguably Premier League player, Premiership player, Andy Webster, Rocco Quinn, John Sutton, that's 4 substitutes that would ordinarily be pushing for a first team place in the Premiership, never mind at the bottom end of the Championship. So I think Jack Ross has certainly worked wonders to get players in. Adam Akersley particularly down the left hand side, Stelios Dimitriou down the right hand side. Terrific energy up and down that side, but it just shows you the size of the club, the depth of the squad, when guys like Langfield, Webster, Quinn and Sutton, top goal scorer for the club, are on the bench.
Yep, it's all about recruitment, and especially at this critical time.
Yeah, and it's all about letting players go at times. Dundee United won each with Queen of South because there was a great, Denzel know this as well, a great outrage. I was the young lad when McAllister went to Derby County and
Naismith went up to...
Naismith went up to Ross County. There was, but you know, they saw the kid was really wanting to go. They were getting a wee bit of money from him. And then they could reinvest, and they sorted the things out really well at Christmas. You know, when you consider they had 2 high-profile departures, but they said, "Listen, we've got a plan here. We'll change it around." And now, I mean, I thought before Christmas they were gone. And I've said it, and people have tweeted me on this show to say, "If you know, what are you saying about that?" The bottom line is, I've changed my mind. You're allowed to change your mind.
Yeah, and the guy who scored the winning goal in the Challenge Cup final, Thomas Mikkelsen, has got the goal in that match. Queen of the South 1, Dundee United 1. So they're back on level terms. And another player that I was just thinking about there, somebody that they brought in to try and get goals as well, Hugh, was Billy Mackay. He has got the equaliser now, his 7th of the season against Kilmarnock.
Yep, and Mackay is our last best hope, isn't he? He's always the guy that comes up trumps. I mean, I remember against Rangers, he did the same, you know, last minute goal. And it's on that theme that we've been talking about throughout the programme. You really need goals, and if you look at the 3 goals in the Premiership being scored by Chris Boyd, who's no stranger to that, Billy Mackay and Louis Moult, all you know, pedigree goal scorers this season.
Tony Conlon has put us an interesting question on Twitter at Peter and Ruffy. He says, regarding Brendan Rodgers, do you guys think he may just want to stay at Celtic and try and finish his 5-year plan? I think he's going to stay short term, Ruffy. I don't see him getting to 5 years.
No, I don't. And I think the debate was, could he command a top 4 side in the English Premiership? I think that's the big one, you know, if he would be in the run. And again, you know, he'll be enjoying every minute now. He'll be enjoying the European football. But for me, it's the European football he's going to be judged on, you know, and that's what people will be looking at, because we know how people down in England see our game. So if he was to go into a European campaign, talking about last 16, something like that, that would sort of maybe get him. At this moment in time, I don't think he's done enough.
Yeah,
I just don't think he's done enough for an Arsenal job.
Okay, the other point I was just going to highlight to you guys is that Aston Villa are a goal up in Norwich, because I was speaking to their PR officer who used to be a pundit on this programme, Thomas Jordan. Still enjoying. He's called Tommy now down in England, and not quite sure why he's adopted an American, but it's possibly because of Randy Lerner. So everybody calls him Tommy, but he's enjoying it. Villa under Steve Bruce. A goal up in that match against Norwich. I'm going to read you this Facebook message out. I think it's worthy of us putting it out on the show as we keep you up to date with what's happening elsewhere all across the 4 hours. Neil Dalrymple has said, "Hi guys, I'm watching you live in, I hope I pronounced this right, Dhahran in Saudi Arabia." He says, "Great show, great banter, Middlesbrough and Aberdeen fan." That's an unusual combination. Tough season for one and excellent for the other. And I think Neil will be one of those guys well happy with the way Aberdeen played. They knocked it about. Pedro Caixinha was watching them, and if ever he needs a gauge, as he does game by game in Scottish football, Rangers are a goal behind to Motherwell, and last night Aberdeen were blistering against them.
And have beaten Motherwell 7-2 as well. There's certainly the form guide's pretty strong at Aberdeen. The interesting thing about Aberdeen now, and the Aberdeen fan, Neil coming on, is that you would think at this time 20 odd points behind Celtic, but now with results like that, Aberdeen fans are just looking to the cup and saying, if we get to the cup final, one game, can we, do a little better than, I think they would be quite confident, quite rightly, that they could, be more than competitive against Rangers. But they also wouldn't be, I don't think, in any way chattered about Celtic. Just say maybe the last time we played Celtic, we didn't go about it this way. But that'll be a huge priority for Derek McInnes and Aberdeen fans.
Yeah, I think Derek knows the Aberdeen supporters want cup finals. They want to be travelling. They want to be there. They want to be involved. They know there is a gap there. So that is the next best thing, finishing second and obviously getting into Europe. But a cup,
especially Scottish Cup,
a cup appearance, the last big game of the season. Here is tremendous.
I mean, we've had in Scotland recently St Johnstone won the Scottish Cup. The Highbees famously won the Scottish Cup. There's no reason, for Aberdeen not to go to Hampden for a final in some degree of hope and expectation. So I think that'll be playing. That is a really interesting thing for Aberdeen at the moment, particularly the way where they're gaining momentum. They're really playing well at the moment.
Yeah, must mention well done to Brian Evans and Christine Barclay, who've been following us on Facebook and on the programme. Lots of people joining the show near and far. Monday to Friday, we'll get some exciting news coming up in the next couple of weeks, which I think, if you keep your eyes and your ears open for the Peter and Ruffy Football Show, hopefully you'll stick with us and join a growing band of people who want to talk football and the football issues, as well as see managers and players on the programme. We've had more than a few, I reckon, over a 4-year period, Ruffy, since I actually met you. I know you worked on a radio station where you were our opposition in another radio station. and we got together, an unusual combination.
Yeah, and obviously the bonus of that was I brought all my contacts with me. From that.
And your expertise.
So,
and the preparation.
No, the contacts is the big one. The list of phone numbers was just
I know,
it was incredible. The funny thing is, Hugh, if I can quote one former journalist who used to work with me at Scottish Television, who said, the contacts book is king, and over 30 years, never throw away a contact. It served me well, because I looked at Ruffy and I looked at him and I thought to myself, 3 World Cups. He's in a League Cup final in 1971 as a what age were you?
19.
19. So there you are, 19. He's met dignitaries, pop stars, you name it. And I thought to myself, he is going to have a contact book to die for. I mean, it'll be fantastic. And out of the 750 guests, and I'm going to write down a number here, out of the 750 guests we've had on the show, how many has Ruffy contributed?
0.
You were so close. You were 1 out.
1 out.
Jim Leishman.
I thought he was going to say it's -1. He booked somebody and he didn't arrive.
Jim Leishman. And it's very difficult to use Jim regularly in different areas to comment on other things, but that's not a bad hit rate, isn't it?
That's quite good. I mean, I thought you were talking about the big news that was Ruffy and I's square go.
Yeah, no.
No, is that bigger news?
You know
than
the
that?
funny thing about it, knowing him as I do, he is the first guy that I could possibly tip to run away from a fight. And somebody at Easter Road came into the press room on Wednesday night, and he said to me, the journalist said to me, what about that out there? He says, would Ruffy have been in at the forefront of that if there was a punch-up? And I said to him, Heads Rangers, Graham Souness, laid into George McCluskey, 21 players booked, and the big man was so far away from the trouble you couldn't make it up.
Yeah. But there was a reason for that.
I know, because you'd been booked earlier.
I had been booked earlier. I'd have been the fool that had walked up if I had to get booked. But even taking that apart, I had no intentions there. It was 45 yards away.
Yeah.
And then you've got to come back 45 yards. That's a lot of running.
I thought the interesting thing, so Nars going 1-0 up instead of sure. I thought the interesting thing about only in Scotland would there be a melee, involving, a morass of players and managers, and the only guy not throwing punches would be called Marciano.
Yes, absolutely. There is another goal. Would you believe it's raining goals in Paisley, Des McKeown?
It is again, Peter, and it is another one for the home side. This time it's Kyle McGuinness, released down the right-hand side, skips past the goalkeeper. Greg Fleming comes out to try and narrow the angle. He pushes McGuinness wide. He just slides it into the empty net. It's now St Mirren 4, Ayr United 0.
It's a hammering, Ruffy.
Yeah, it is, and this is when the manager has to work his salt. You know, he's got to get the players in the dressing room. He'll know he can't win the game, so he's got to give them some kind of belief that this game's done and dusted. There's other games round the corner, and you have to keep the spirits up. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, but he's got to try his best.
Lewis Moynihan has just sent us a tweet to say, what do you think of the potential fan takeover at Dundee United? I think Stephen Thompson's come out on STV and said that, quite simply, there's been nothing concrete, nothing that suddenly you could... you have an investor or someone that could take them forward.
Yeah, we're a long way from that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that enthusiasm for the Thompsons for throwing money at Dundee United has waned, and nobody's going to argue with that. I think there is an opportunity for anybody to come in with some money to solve it. I think the way the St Mirren thing worked was really good, where they had Gordon Scott. They had a guy who was almost like a guarantor who could put money up, and the fans could play over a few years. I could see something like that one at Dundee United. I just can't quite identify the guy that's going to be the guarantor.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's go to Dumbarton, because if Des has got an exciting game, chances in short supply for Kevin Harper.
Dumbarton now, Morton now, but Morton should have been ahead. Great interplay in the midfield, in the centre of midfield. The ball goes out to Doyle, who's made a lovely overlapping run down the right-hand side. He puts in a lovely cross to the 6-yard box. Dumbarton failed to clear it. It falls to Shanklin, and he crashes it off the underside of the bar where he should have probably finished it. But still here, short supply of chances, as you say, Peter. Dumbarton now, Morton now.
Hopefully there will be goals for Kevin in the second half of that game, but just that one real chance, and you get the feeling that Dumbarton have to take their chances if they indeed can engineer one today, because the way it's looking, St Mirren really are putting the frighteners on everyone.
The good thing for Dumbarton, of course, though, is while St Mirren are putting goals on the board and getting 3 points, Ayr aren't. I mean that's they'll look on the sunny side of that. I think just look at that Dumbarton match and just say to yourself, for the Suns supporters, imagine getting 3 points, nicking the 3 points there today when Ayr get so heavily beaten. But that bottom of the league, I think it'll go right to the end. I think St Mirren now are, they're flexing their muscles a wee bit rough, But I still think teams like Wraith Rovers and Dumbarton are in it.
Listen, Ruffy, what do you make of what's happening at Ibrox? Because it's still 1-0 to Motherwell. I mean, this could be the defining moment. I mean, Lee Hodgson was quoted yesterday as saying this is a critical part of the season for Rangers if they are going to make a real charge on Aberdeen. I don't think they can do that. I think third place is the best they can hope for.
Yeah, again, as I said earlier, this is the position that Rangers were in numerous occasions before the new manager came in. They would have thought they'd have turned the corner with him. I think he picked a strong enough side today. But Motherwell have went there before and scored first and tried to hang on. But 9 times out of 10, Rangers at home will create chances, particularly in the centre half. So the only thing I'll be going through Mark McGee, he's not there anymore, but I'm sure he'll be thinking, I'm sure Mark McGee will be looking at that game and going, look, I was there before, it was the worst day I've ever had. So until the 90 minutes or whatever extra time is up, you always think that Rangers will come back and get a goal.
Yes, it's a brilliant. We see how he linked that there from the fact that Mark McGee wasn't there. That's what he does. If the mind, just goes off on a tangent.
It's like a salmon just changing direction, one flick of the tail and away.
It's like his opinion as well. He can change it from one mood to the other. How's our treble looking, Roffy?
The treble is looking okay. We've got St Mirren, we've got Alloa, we've got Livingston.
Okay.
So if we could do that cash in thing, we would be.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
Mackay with a cutback for Rangers and Waghorn close in the last couple of minutes. So Rangers trying to get back on level terms. These are the moments when I think the Motherwell manager, Stephen Robinson, just looking at the watch constantly and hoping the referee will blow for half time to get them in. The classic regroup and try and set the stall out for what you would anticipate will be a Rangers onslaught in the second half. half as well, as they look to try and not just try and get a draw, but try and get a victory in all 3 points there. But it's early days. I think, Pedro Caixinha, I think, as a Rangers manager, will be looking at the biggest battle with Dave King to try and get as much money as he can out of him in the summer. For me personally, Hugh, it's all about how much money am I getting to bring in a certain calibre of player. And I think the Rangers fans, off the back of that, will be asking questions. Who's supplying the money for him?
Yeah, well, they might, if they're asking who's supplying the money for them, hopefully they're standing in front of a mirror, because that's very probably where the vast amount of money will come from in season ticket sales. I mean, it's a perennial question. They've got to get the Mike Ashley situation solved, so they've got a revenue stream for merchandising. They've got to, get high season ticket sales. Queen of the South are going 2-1 up against Dundee United. They've got to get a strategy in place going forward on recruitment. I'm just wondering what the level of recruitment will be, because there's certain things at Rangers that money has to be found for. And then you throw in the complete and utter turmoil that is the Takeover Board Commission, on the concert party and the possible share issue. So I think, Mr. Caixinha's budget might not, at the moment, be very high on the list of priorities facing the Rangers board.
Yeah, talking about Liam Buchanan scoring today, another of our former guests, Stephen Dobbie, has scored for Queen of the South in that match against Dundee United. 2-1 up in that game. Elsewhere, Robbie, no goals for Partick Thistle. It's a draw at the moment, not only at Firhill, but up there at the Tulloch Stadium between Inverness and Kilmarnock, and Hamilton Accies and St Johnstone. Goals in short supply there, no goals there as well.
Yeah, even at the beginning we knew these 3 games that you're talking about were always going to be very, very tight. I think 1 goal would probably win this one, but interesting, Inverness have come back in the Kilmarnock game, so it's all to play for there. But I think it's another one when you get into the dressing room after the game, you'll be looking at all the scores and just finding out where you actually are.
Yep, we're going to keep you up to date with all the goals right across the 4 hours every Saturday, 2 till 6, in the company of Alan Ruff and Hugh McDonald. And Gordon Smith will be with us again on Monday of this week to look back over the key matches as well. Small matter of, if my memory serves me correct as well, El Clasico to look forward to as well on the horizon shortly, Hugh.
Yep, and then one again that comes heavy, as they all do, heavy with significance, heavy with import. You've got one manager leaving, you've got another manager very famous ex-player trying to put his mark on a season. Both incredibly still in the Champions League. I say incredibly because of the astonishing Barcelona win against PSG. So, another one to lick our lips at, another one that will have players like, we talked about Hazard earlier on, and players like that will be watching these games, and while at times they might be saying to themselves, I'd love to play in that. I thought Ian McGarry made a good point yesterday where he said, you've got to look at Bale's always going to start, Ronaldo's only going to start, Benzema is usually starting, Modric is going to start, and you say, well, Hazard, for all his greatness, might be saying, I need a definitive starting place as well, and is he assured of that? To me, he would be, because I think he's real quality. But it is a chance that, you go there, and Isco's went there, for example, and not started regularly. But it's a great match,
and
marvellous
of course,
match.
The other thing about as well is that I think Florentino Perez is up for re-election, and every re-election comes with, we will give you 100 million, and here's the player that we're going to deliver to you.
We're going to give you a player and a pig's head.
Well, this is the thing about it, and I think the feeling and they've got a couple of players that they're looking at that they think they can deliver. Hazard, obviously, is one of them. I'm trying to think of the second one.
Well, they were looking at De Gea for goals, or even Lloris or Courtois for goalkeeping. I mean, but the real thing, you're right, Peter. I mean, these re-election campaigns come with, the manifesto being, I will bring you so-and-so, I will bring you whoever. And you see, when you're talking about top-level names in Europe, you're saying to yourself, if I was a guy going for a manifesto, I think Hazard would be pretty much at the top of mine. I think Hazard's a potential Ballon d'Or winner, for example.
If I was the Real Madrid president, I'd be looking and saying, okay, I'm going to deliver 3 players to you. One of them is Courtois, the other one's Hazard, and the other one is N'Golo Kante.
Oh.
And there you have it. You have the nearest thing to Claude Makelele again. Let's go to Dumbarton because it's half time there now with Kevin Harper.
Dumbarton now, Morton now, but the game just burst into life there the last 5 minutes. You know, after that chance that Morton had that Shanklin should hits the bar, he should score. Then Dumbarton start playing really, really well. Louis Vaughan just plays a lovely ball through the middle to Sterling. He's 8 yards out, Peter, and he tries to pass it to Sam Stanton instead of going for goal. And then it gets blocked, goes for a corner. The ensuing corner comes across from Stanton. Buchanan heads it. It looks as if it's going goalward. Russell clears it off the line. Here at Dumbarton, it's Dumbarton now, Morton now.
So no goals there for Kevin. What about Paisley? Des McKeown has been watching a goal fest between St Mirren and Ayr United. Well, we'll come back to
half time.
Caught there with a tea and a Kit Kat.
Magic. This is what it's all about, Peter. This is why we come to the games. Half time at the Paisley 2021 Stadium, and it's St Mirren 4, Ayr United 0. This has been an absolute masterclass by Jack Ross's players. Started in 5 minutes. It was Stevie Mallon, a free kick from deep, delivered into the box. It was headed clear. Mallon on a half volley, 25 yards, absolutely perfectly drilled it into the bottom corner. Mallon then in 20 minutes became architect. A free kick deep into the box. Gary McKenzie this time, strong header into the top corner. 4 minutes later, Stelios Dimitriou down the right hand side. He's jinked past one, he's jinked past two, onto the byline, driven the ball across the face of the goals. It eventually lands at Stephen McGinn's feet. He knocks it into the empty net. Paisley's going mental. The Paisley 2021 Stadium's absolutely rocking. And then 36 minutes, Kyle McGuinness, he's been slipped down the right hand channel by Cammy Smith. The advancing goalkeeper Greg Fleming comes out, tries to block the angle. McGuinness skips past him and slides into the empty net. It's absolute raptures. The 2021 Stadium in absolute raptures. St Mirren's players have just been given a standing ovation coming off the park. Ayr United's not so. It's half time in Paisley. It's St Mirren 4, Ayr United 0.
Yep, it's been a goal fest for Des McKeown, and not bad when you can have 2 cups of tea and 2 biscuits as well. But that's what happens when you can run 26 miles in a morning before you actually go out to do the report in the first place.
And that's just as a warm-up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all 3 of us in this studio could do with 26 miles between us. Simple as that. Okay, coming up after the break, half times across the country. Motherwell go in with a 1-goal lead over Rangers. Well, this seems to be a story that's kind of a caught fire, which is quite simply that there seems to be two players from St Johnstone have been involved in a fracas, a stramash, you call it what you will, but it looks as if Danny Swanson has been involved in an altercation with Ricky Foster. St Johnstone could be coming back out with 9 men, Des McKeown. I mean, there's many a time where I actually seem to remember 2 Newcastle players going hard at it. David Batty and I think Lee Boyer were fighting with each other one day at St James's Park as well, or was it?
It was Dyer and
Dyer.
Batty fought with Lesseau
Is
at
that
Blackburn.
who it was? There you are. I knew there was a... Des McKeown, what do you make of all that madness?
What can I say, Peter? I think, when 2 players go to those levels, it's a frustration element. And let me tell you, if it's down to frustration out here in front of us, I wouldn't be too surprised if 2 Ayr United players go for each other's throats, because there have been abject murder during the course of this first half here. We've just kicked off the second half, 4-0 to St Mirren. It's all about Ian McCall's side trying to get something back out of the game in terms of confidence. But I don't expect Jack Ross will allow his players to rest in their laurels. I expect further goals for St Mirren. The vast difference between the sides has been that size.
Yeah, I've got to say to you, Des, and I always like to try and protect you and advise you on certain issues, because, you can be hot-headed. If anybody asks you for a square go there, just don't accept it, Des. Just, have a calm attitude towards it.
Peter, I've not even taken my biscuit yet. Let me tell you, I will not be fighting with anybody today.
That's good enough for me. I've got to take it.
I'd have to catch you first.
It's a very good point, Ruffy, actually.
Jim Spencer just asked him for a square dance.
Yeah, absolutely. That's about the best you can hope for. But I have to say, yep, you're right, Ruffy. If anybody wants to fight with our Des, you'll have to be you have to be sub 3 hours in a marathon to try and get a hold of him. Anyway, this St Johnstone story is developing, Hugh.
I'm actually watching it. Actually happened. It happened just at half time, and the referee has pulled the 2 St Johnstone players aside. I didn't see him flashing any cards, and then there was another what would you say, touchline fracas as well with other players. So I don't know what that was about, but the 2 players certainly walked off, and I didn't see the referee actually flashing anything.
Well, according to Hamilton's official site,
and St Johnstone have confirmed they've both been sent off. So 9 men. I mean, talk about gifting Hamilton the chance to get all 3 points.
Well, I mean, it's just astonishing when it happens like that. I mean, what happens in the dressing room with the 2 guys just sit in the corner? What does the manager do? I mean,
yeah, it's one of these ones at clubs. The manager will try and turn it round. It just shows you how passionate the 2 guys are about the club. But at the end of the day, it's cost her. Well, it hasn't yet so far, but to get down to 9 men, and obviously the fallout of them being suspended for future games is something that St Johnstone wouldn't have had. But there was a lot happening round about the tunnel while the 2 players were actually out on the park. So it looks as if it's according to Boozle,
the former Hibs player who's assistant, he's apparently been sent to the stand, and Ali Crawford's been given a yellow as well. But this will seep out. More details will seep out as the afternoon goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to quote Thunderclap Newman in this programme, but is there something in the air this week?
It must be. It's something in the water. I mean, it's just. But it's just. I'll tell you something. I love. See, as a football fan, not so much as a football journalist, I love 2 players in the one team fighting. There's a confession. That's an admission. I love 2 players in the one team fighting.
Well, that is interesting. I have to say, I mean, listen, it's a strange old day, because, sometimes you look at certain managers coming in and you say to yourself, what type of manager, is this person going to be? The criticism of Mark Warburton was it was Plan A and then Plan A.
No.
Now with Pedro Caixinha, he's made 3 changes at the break for Rangers. So Hodgson, Hill and Wallace coming off to be replaced by Halliday, Garner and O'Halloran.
Yeah, well, he's obviously trying to get a bit of legs into the team, isn't he? A bit of pace. I just think that's a hugely dangerous move. I think Mourinho's done this on occasions at half-time, so it's obviously a Portuguese thing.
Why is it a dangerous move?
You've got 45 minutes and somebody gets injured.
Yeah.
You're down to 10 men. somebody pulls a hammy or tweaks a knee. You're playing with 45 minutes now, praying that nobody gets injured.
Yeah, well, maybe I understand where you're coming from, and I can't argue with the possibility or the probability of it. It's probably slightly higher, but sometimes we criticise managers for not taking positive action. So Pedro Caixinhas looked at it and went, "No, you, and you, and I'll have a look at you, and you." It's not exactly going to impact their season.
No, but I'm looking at the substitutions and looking at the way the game's going. Defenders been taken off. They've only lost 1 goal.
Yeah. Well, again, I think, with all due respect, I think the way Motherwell play, they play one up and one off, and they'll drop into a 5 when they don't have that ball. That midfield will be packed. So he knows you're not exactly going to stick 4 players across marking one man. He can sacrifice one of them, go to a 3, and start looking for the wing backs and O'Halloran to get his pace.
People could say he could have been thinking about that from the first minute, of course. I mean, I think the goals what's changed everything. I mean, because Motherwell could now just sit in completely. I mean, there's just coming up now, confirmation, 2 red cards for St Johnstone.
Yeah.
But that would be. I mean, I'm all for managers. I always was amazed that managers used to say, "Well, I'll leave it till the last 10 minutes and change it." You say, why not change it? And then if it changes to your advantage, then you can re-change it for the last 10 minutes. You have more time to do something.
Yeah.
But I just think in the modern game where, it's very intense, that game's going to be very physical in the second half. To pray that nobody gets an injury is it's quite a big gamble.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's Leicester 2, Stoke 0. Jamie Vardy, what a great second half to the season he's having. So he gets the second goal. And St Johnstone, obviously Tommy Wright's being a visionary here, Ruffy. He's playing in a 4-3-1 formation now for St Johnstone.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We keep our eye on this to see how this goes, because this would be a miraculous nothing each if he was to come out of this. But again, Hamilton will have to come up with better ideas, because as we all know, the first thing that if it doesn't go well, the managers say it's always very difficult playing against 10 men. It'll be interesting if he says it's really difficult playing against 9 men.
I always loved that. It's like, when you say it's really difficult playing against, well, why don't you just start with 10 men if it's that difficult?
Keith Glansley has come on for Craig Clay, so that tells you all you need to know about Motherwell's plans for the 1-goal advantage. Let's go to the Championship once more and head to Paisley again. Des McKeown.
51 minutes gone, and it's now St Mirren 5, Ayr United 0. Lewis Morgan released. He's run away from Nicky Riley. He's drilled a shot. Bottom corner from about 20 yards just outside the box. It is raining goals. It's raining goals for St Mirren. It's St Mirren 5, Ayr United 0.
Cowdenbeath have got a huge goal there, 1-up on Clyde, and Clyde, interestingly enough, in the last 24 hours have signed David Goodwillie. I think one of those desperate bids to see if they can get goals from anywhere.
Absolutely, and face criticism for it, of course. I mean, that is huge, because that takes Cowdenbeath within 1 point of Clyde for the right to the honour of trying to stay in the Scottish professional, the higher reaches of Scottish professional leagues. Astonishing, the slump of Clyde. Astonishing for people of my age. We've said it before, that can remember Clyde being third in the top division and now really fighting for their existence as a senior club.
Hey, I mentioned to both of you guys, and I don't know how many we're going to get in before the end of the programme, but I didn't think I was going to get Thunderclap Newman in. I certainly didn't think I was going to get Carol Douglas and Kung Fu Fighting in. But the announcer at Hamilton has managed to fire that out, obviously, to the fans at half-time.
I love all that announcer stuff as well. I know how people get all enraged about it, but I always think it's really funny. I mean, I always think it's terrible when these poor announcers try and bring a bit of smell into it. They get sacked because they're opposing. But you say, oh, for goodness sake, come on, a bit of banter, lads.
Absolutely, I'm with you on this, Hugh. I think there's always what do you honestly see if you come up with an alternative opinion on this?
I'm saying
and do-goodies.
There's banter and banter, but the banter, as we all know, when Celtic played Rangers at Parkhead, when Rangers were disappearing into the third division, and the Panoy boy shoved in, when will we see you again? It was just taking it a bit far.
Yeah. I think there are certain games where you don't have music, and that's one of them. River Plate, Boca Juniors, let's not have anybody, upsetting things there. But yeah, so. Yeah, I take your point on that, Ruffy. But there are, I know one of the guys who plays the music at Tynecastle. He's a long-time friend, Scott Wilson, and if he can think of a track that winds everybody up, he will play it. And it's great.
I think we're also easily offended, aren't we? Where but the thing is, this should be an entertainment business. We should be able to have a laugh. That's why, I said earlier on, commentators will say, oh, two players in the same team, fighting. We don't want to see any of that. I bet you every supporter that was at the ground today would come home and say, God, what a day. Saw Swanson and Foster fighting and all that. The St Johnstone fans will be outraged, particularly if we get beat. But everybody will look at that and, it's like, every day, if you say the words Levine and Hogg, what do you always think of? The two of them fighting.
Yeah. Absolutely, it is. It's like that. You never want to be remembered for something in a negative sense, but if you get involved in it, you pay the consequences. On Twitter, it looks as if the suggestion here is Terrell and Holt are at centre back and Halliday at left back. That would be an unusual lineup for Rangers if they used the subs in that way.
Yeah.
I can see the thoughts on O'Halloran. He can unlock a defence with pace.
Yeah, and I would have thought if just looking at it from 20 odd miles away, I would have thought he would have been going to back three, pushing. You would think that Molt would be the only one playing up front. Yeah. And what you want to do is stretch people wide in the wings, and that's why you would put O'Halloran on. The longer it goes, of course, the more difficult it comes for Kushina, because now he can make no changes. So he's standing impotently on the sidelines, and the noise level will crank up. The disappointment level, the level of, what's the word for it? Frustration. That's the word, Peter.
Queen of the South 2, Dundee United 2. It's been a good week for Thomas Mickelson. He just seems to be the man scoring the goals for United. Usually Simon Murray gets in on the act as well, but Mickelson's the man. His bullet header won the Challenge Cup for United, and he's back at it again with the equaliser in that game. And of course, Stephen Thompson has been talking about the current predicament, and he did mention something which kind of jarred with me, which was if Dundee United don't get out of the division, he won't be viewing Ray McKinnon as a failure. There's an unusual statement. I think Dundee United should be the team that emerges from the Championship playoffs to be taking on the second bottom of the Premiership when you consider the resources they have.
Yes, I think so as well. I think though that, like all Championship teams, they've got I think it's really crucial for them to finish second, so that they've got at least one leg of, or one round of these playoffs not to negotiate. Otherwise, they'll be fatigued when they play the team. But I agree with you. I do think Ray McKinnon is the man. He's got a lot of stick, but I think his managerial career has proved that he's a good organiser. He's got an eye for a player. He brings teams on. I think it's no surprise that Raith Rovers have went on the slides and he left.
Yeah.
I think the Dundee United job is always going to be a difficult job, and I think he's doing okay there.
Yeah.
Livingston, by the way, have scored again, and if it's Liam Buchanan who scored again, I think I'll take the rest of the day off, because I have lifted the Peter and Ruffy hex on a Scottish football player.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lovely way to spin it, Hugh. Just on the point we were talking about great games and games that you'd love to be involved in, is there a particular game that you wish you'd been present at that you missed out?
Like as a spectator?
Yeah, think about that. Is there a game, even if you wish to, you covered as a journalist? The reason why I mentioned that, we're going to be going to Dumbarton shortly, because I think there might be a bit of activity there from Kevin Harper. So we'll get his thoughts, and you can just at Twitter, at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, and facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy, give us your thoughts on any game you wish you'd been at but you missed. Let's go to Dumbarton. Has there been a goal, Kevin Harper?
Goal here, Peter Dumbarton 1, Morton 0, and it's been against the run of play. Morton have came out the second half and totally dominated. They've hit the post. Andy Murdoch with a great third man run set up by Liam Shanklin. It hit a 18-yard shot off the bottom right hand post. But Dumbarton, to their credit, have hung in there and they got at the break of the ball. It was Andrew Stirling who broke into the box, went into a bundle of players. The ball broke to Vaughan, and he smashed it low to the right hand corner of the keeper. Here is Dumbarton 1, Morton 0.
So, slightly against the run of play, Ruffy.
Yeah, it certainly is, but we've known all season that Dumbarton have been known when there's a big game comes up, they do particularly well, and they're doing it again today, and Ross County have just went one up against Partick Thistle.
Yeah, I've just checked with the phone sometimes will ring if the taxi's outside, if it's there for you. Liam Buchanan scored the goal, that's 2. I mean, what a lift you've given that lad.
That lad now, I'm now due a testimonial from Livingston as part of that. I've restored the lad his confidence. Brief chat in Ocean Terminal, say don't listen to Ruffy and Peter, don't listen to their negativity, just you go about your job. You've scored in every league, you've scored in every division, get back and score again.
Have you seen that? Somebody's posted it, the boy Foster, when he gets sent, when Swanson gets sent off, it was because he didn't like Amy McDonald's new album.
No, you're treading dangerous water here. I have to say, and Christine Bartley has just posted a message to us. I wish the whole Rangers team would have a punch up. Which again, when you're looking at your team, you want a bit of passion, you want them to get back into the game. Well, the manager's made a positive change, so whether that has a positive outcome, only time will tell, Christine. Amy McDonald's new album, Ruffy, I Have It, is fantastic. And as are other artists, but I'm a big fan.
I heard the single this morning. Yeah. Superb.
Great. You like it?
Yeah, thought it was super.
Here's a shovel for you, Ruffy, if you want to dig yourself out of a hole. Amy McDonald, actually, I think we actually were lucky enough to see her at the PFA Awards. Yeah, we did. And she was absolutely magnificent. Very talented, all 3 albums. Huge fan. Do you still buy albums, Ruffy, or are you just, that's something gone?
No, I lost my my gramophone.
Yeah,
with
the records,
the big ears,
the wee dog.
Okay, that was actually a brand rather than rather than a gramophone with a wee dog on it.
I did acquire one for my gran.
Yeah,
one of the ones you kept going with the scratchy bits.
Yep. Can I just say something to you? Dunfermline have equalised against Hibs from the penalty spot, so they're putting up a fight here. I did actually have Brian Stewart who mentioned to me, I think Alan Johnson should be sacked. I wish I could say that properly.
Glad you never said that.
I'm so glad I just stopped there, just as that would have been a profanity and a half. Anyway, he should be sacked, as we can't keep playing in the bottom half of the table season in, season out. Well,
not for me.
No, I don't think so. I think he's been okay. I like Alan Johnson. I think he was at the wrong club at the time with Kilmarnock.
Absolutely. I think he's a good manager. I think he's a bright manager. I think Dunfermline have been patchy this season, but I think if they stay in the division, and we all think they will, I presume we all think they will. I think that's a good progress as well. And just hearing Rangers have equalised.
Yeah, Joe Garner has got the goal, Ruffy. So the change has been made by the manager at half-time, and Joe Garner has responded on that one.
Yeah, sometimes you make these positive decisions, you get a positive result, and certainly the boy Gardner, who wasn't picked obviously at the start, has come on and showed his manager that he can score goals, and now that they've got the bit between the teeth, you might think they might just go on and win that one.
Yeah, Miller with the ball deep on the right to the back post, and there's Garner just there with a good finish, just putting it into the back of the net. So Joe Garner gets it to 1-1. Now the manager wants a winner, Hugh.
Yeah, very much so, and now the atmosphere inside the stadium changes completely. Motherwell now have, just have a point to protect rather than 3. So it'll be, you would imagine that the manager will be roaring them on for all attack. Incidentally, the Hull equaliser was scored by Andrew Robertson. So interesting that he's still performing really well for Hull, and you know, and particularly in attacking areas.
Do you think Andrew Robertson will be the left back with Kieran Tierney the right back against England and against the likes of Raheem Sterling?
It's a really difficult choice. I thought Robertson was really good going forward the other week there. I thought he got forward at pace, puts good balls into the box. I think it wouldn't be fair in the wee boy Tierney to play him on the wrong side of the park, particularly against the pace of the English forwards. You know, it wouldn't be fair on him. I'm not saying he wouldn't do a good job, but I think he'd be up against it with the pace that they've got.
I don't even think of anyone who's maybe sitting in the sidelines who has the pace to cope with Sterling.
No, I think Sterling's. I mean, I think we talked about this, to be fair, before the first game at Wembley, and we pointed out that the big problem was English pace. You know, Sturridge has fallen off the radar. We know that, but Sturridge's pace is fantastic. Sterling is as well. Rashford, who's coming into you know, strong consideration, at least as a substitute. He's very, very quick as well, and it's a big problem. And it's a big problem because you've got to defend two centre halves, whoever they are, who won't have much pace either.
Yeah.
Really, really difficult selection already for Gordon Strachan to ponder. I bet he is. I mean, the whole thing, of course, could be solved by bringing in Bardsley in at right back, who's playing for Stoke, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a strange one, actually. Sometimes I think managers have to bite the bullet, needs must, you know, picking players that maybe for one reason or another they don't fancy. I have to say Motherwell have had the ball on the back of the net, Ruffy, but it's just been chalked off for offside.
Yeah, and that'll be a disappointment for them, actually going behind and then getting they're getting a goal and it's chalked off. But at least they're still attacking, they're still creating chances. And Partick Thistle have just equalised against Ross County.
Yeah.
Guess who it is?
Doolan.
His 100th goal.
Are
Fantastic.
you happy with that?
I'm very happy with that.
I think he deserves great credit.
More than
100 goals for
100 goals
Partick
for
Thistle.
Straight for the juniors as well. Auchinleck Talbot boy, was he?
Think so.
And I think he's been a smashing player for Partick Thistle. And a nice young laddie as well, but a guy that's gives his all when he comes on as well. So I'm very pleased with him.
Yeah, but it's the point you've made that the teams that are surviving better than the others are the teams that their goal scorers are scoring goals, and that's what you need.
Yep, absolutely. 100 goals for Partick Thistle. Well done to Chris Doolan. And I think every season that I've been working in the game, certainly over the last 4 or 5, he's always guaranteed double figures. He always gets to 10, 11, 12.
Yep, and he's always doing it for a team as well who, you know, it's not a Celtic, it's not a Rangers or an Aberdeen where chances are falling at your feet. You know, I'd like to know what his conversion ratio is. I remember once against Inverness, I was there on a wet and snowy night where he scored a hat-trick, and I honestly think he'd only 3 chances. He just converted each chance, so good on him.
Yep, okay. In the Premiership at the moment, it's 1-1 at Ibrox between Rangers and Motherwell, and Stephen Robinson's had a goal chalked off. They had the ball in the net, but it was offside. Let's go to Paisley and see if there's any further goals or maybe a change.
Yeah, there's a change through necessity, Peter. It's still 5-0 to the home side, but Lewis Morgan, who scored the 5th goal, has just been taken off in a stretcher. It looked like an innocuous challenge. I don't know whether or not perhaps studs have caught Lewis Morgan's shin, but he's just been replaced by John Sutton. So we all hope that Lewis Morgan, who also featured for the Scotland under-21 side during the week, makes a speedy recovery. But it's still 5-0 to Jack Ross's home side here at the Paisley 2021 Stadium.
Yeah, it's amazing. The last time, Des, there was a great escape from St Mirren. John Sutton was part of that squad as well, and although he's on the bench today, he could be part of yet another great escape from St Mirren. It's been an unbelievable transformation under Jack Ross. What do you think the key to it is? Is it just down to his all-round coaching, his man management that Jim Goodwin was mentioning to us that he's so good at in midweek?
Yeah, I think there's certainly that element to it, but I think there's also, perhaps just some additions to the squad, fine-tuning of the players and where they've been playing. The boy Dimitriou, the Cypriot lad on the right-hand side, adds an incredible energy, but he also gets back, good recovery, and that allows the likes of Cammy Smith, Kyle McGuinness in front of him to go and play a bit more expansive. But I think, to be honest, Jack has come in and I think he's done one or two things behind the scenes in the training. He's built up the confidence of the group. He's continually, as we spoke about during the course of the show, continually backed his players. And many, including Hugh McDonald, clearly have said at times that, you know, they thought that St Mirren were going to be done and dusted long before now in terms of relegated. I think that element of investment in his players and the confidence to them has been repaid sevenfold, tenfold, 20-fold, whatever it may be, because certainly the players are playing for the manager.
Okay, we'll be back to Des. Will we get another goal there? Only time will tell. I'll tell you, there's a goal at Burnley and Spurs, and Dyer has scored the goal to put Spurs ahead at Turf Moor in the Premier League in England. What about Dumbarton against Morton? Any change there, Kevin Harper?
No change here, still Dumbarton 1, Morton 0, but it's all pressure from Morton as it has been most of this second half, Peter. He hit the bar just close there, Lewis. Scott Tiffany. It was a cross. He hits the inside of the bottom post and then bounces out. So they've been really, really unlucky. But on the other hand, as I said before, they're still a threat. Dumbarton are still a threat. Sam Stanton has a drive from just inside the box that Gaston has to make a fantastic save to keep it 1-0. Here at Dumbarton, it's Dumbarton 1, Morton 0.
So, Steve Aitken's side still with the edge in that one. They'll be hoping at St Mirren that there is an equaliser there, Hugh.
Yeah, but I think it's, as Des has pointed out, and what's coming out of St Mirren, and again, I mean, I was the one that they thought, particularly Christmas, that they were gone. I think St Mirren are now in a situation where, you know what, they're quite happy to have it in their hands. They're winning 5-0. Their recent form has been good. I think their momentum and their confidence will be so strong that strangely they might tonight not be too bothered about what goes on, you know, around about them. They'll be saying to themselves, do you know what? Over the last few weeks, the results that we've had, beating Queen of the South, you know, beating our relegation rival Suzy today, they'll say we'll do it ourselves. You know, we don't have to worry too much.
Yeah, well, we've been saying it for weeks, Ruffy, and I've said it time and time again. The key game for St Mirren, the key games were St Mirren at home to Ayr United, St Mirren at home to Dumbarton. They were coming back to back, and that's where the defining moment would be. And suddenly, Jack has them in a position where now destiny's in their own hands.
Yeah, I mean, as a manager, you do in your room you have a fixture list, and I think you would consciously look at that fixture list to see what 4 or 5 games together are games that you think comfortably you could take 3 points out of it. And obviously Jack in the last 4 or 5 games has looked at the fixture list, and these Ayr United Dumbarton game have been looming, but he would want to go into these games with a wee bit of momentum. And he might have thought last week, oh, they're losing the cup, there might have been a wee reaction, but there hasn't been a reaction. Convincing win today, and they'll look forward to that Dumbarton game next week.
Yeah, another great chance for Motherwell. This time Cadden sliding in at the front post, but it looked as if he was going to get that ball in the net, but Kiernan just clears it away, gets the touch to clear it away, and Michael Devlin's had a 25-yard shot for Hamilton Accies, just parried away by the goalkeeper. So clearly now with those two extra men on the field for Hamilton Accies after Danny Swanson and Ricky Foster have been red carded. This was for an altercation between the two players. As one journalist put it, I think Danny Swanson has just volleyed at Ricky Foster. So there will undoubtedly be repercussions. I just wonder what sort of repercussion the manager takes on this one, because sometimes you look at it, you have to be fair, even-handed on it. You have to look at it and say, well, you know, one player I might need, the other one I might, suddenly you start to get compromised.
I mean, the whole thing is just, no manager wants to be involved in that. The whole thing's just a disaster. There's just a ways of emerging from it, no ways of really sort of addressing it in any way that's possible. It's just a mad situation.
Yeah. I think the two players that have been sent off will be hoping the scoreline stays the same, because if it stays the same, it might not be as bad if Hamilton score in the last minute.
Okay, there is a goal at Paisley. Des McKeown is there.
Yes, and it's now 5-1 to St Mirren. Peter, Paul Kearney has just pulled one back for Ian McCall's Ayr United side. a half-time sub, took the corner, it got knocked back into the area he could come into the pitch from. He managed to evade one or two challenges and just drilled it below Billy O'Brien. It's now St Mirren 5, Ayr United 1.
Yep. I don't like being away for longer than 4 minutes from Des. I need a goal from him every now and then. You know, he's just delivering for us today.
Can I go back and just say that I think St Mirren will now go down? That's the Ayr United fight back on. I can change my mind again. I think it's important. Seriously, I do think it's important. It's one each with Dumbarton and Morton. I think it's important that the Ayr finish the game, you know, with some kind of momentum, some kind of pride and hope, because they now have got to take something. I mean, they're not going to take in material terms from the game. They've got to take something that, you know, at least, you know, we fought back. At least we didn't lie down in the second half, because St Mirren seem to be in, you know, irrepressible form. But Ayr, it's all about the next match for Ayr now, isn't it? It's all about them taking something from this and going forward into that relegation fight.
Yeah, you can always tell when you've got former players on. They give you a little insight into a game and whether you actually think a team can actually come back into a game. We had a quick chat with Kevin Harper only moments ago, and he mentioned the pressure that Morton were exerting on Dumbarton. Has it paid off for them, Kevin?
It hasn't paid off yet, Peter. Here it's still Dumbarton 1, Morton 0, but Morton have just had a goal disallowed. It's a great cross from Nesbitt, who's came on as a sub from the right-hand side to the back post, where Donnelly wins the header, knocks it back across, and Shanklin, I think he just strains the defender and heads it into the bottom corner, but the referee rules it out as a foul. So, but it's all Morton. Dumbarton are just hitting them on the break when they get the chance, but Jim Duffy must be pulling the little hair that he's got out his head and how Morton are behind in this game.
Yeah,
Here it's Dumbarton 1, Morton 0.
Yeah, I think to be more precise, there's probably more hair in his nostrils, to be honest with you. But he'll not be a happy man at the moment, looking for the equaliser in the game. I mean, is it much of a muchness where you finish now? Do you want to try and avoid playing that extra game? Is that the only incentive now?
For Morton, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be in the playoff position, but everybody talks about the importance of playing as little games as possible. Obviously, at the end of the season, you've got suspensions, you've got injuries, so yeah, you want to finish as high as possible. But again, there's Hibs sort of slipping up at this precise moment, and nobody else is capitalising on it. You know, and that's the way it's been in the last 2 or 3 weeks. They've been drawing games, but nobody's been able to close the gap.
Yeah, I think Hibs are well short in certain areas. Ruffy, I think the back line needs to be addressed at big time, and I still think the striking positions as well need to be looked at. I mean, Grant Holt won't be there. I think Brian Graham has never really been in the top flight. Certainly a player that could score regularly. I think they'll have to look at that, and of course Cummings is another man that I think people will look at and say, are they going to cash in? Is he the man that's got a chance to show that he can score goals in the top flight as well?
Well, the thing about Cummins is Cummins, was the subject of what we think was a bid in excess of £1 million. I think if Hibs got that now, they would take it because it would then go towards refurbishing certain positions. I haven't seen much Hibs this season at all, Peter, but I know you've seen them quite a lot in recent weeks. Actually, a couple of weeks. So I'm interested in you saying about the back line, because the back line at one time were getting really good reports. Darren McGregor in particular was getting excellent reports of what he was going about. So I'm interested in you saying that they need a bit of work there as well, because they certainly, if you go to the top level, it's been a theme we've been talking about all day. You have to succeed in the top level, you have to have a regular goal scorer. You have to have somebody that you can, hang your hat on and say, well, he's going to get us 15 to 20 goals this season. Well,
strangely enough, and this is something that's emphasised on a regular basis, it's all about levels. I mean, I'm having a real battle at the moment on Facebook with someone who's clearly not happy with me, Ruffy, over the last week, suggesting that the Aberdeen players are quite simply not at the level that Gordon Strachan requires at international level, and they're putting the case forward for Kenny McLean and also I think Shinnie, but he's got an abundance of left backs well in front of Shinnie. Shinnie's been shunted into the midfield for Aberdeen. And Kenny McLean is a good player, but he's not at the level that's better than what Gordon Strachan has at his disposal. And again, having watched Hibernian, I think, in midweek, Effie Ambrose looked as if he was 2 leagues above anything he was playing at. I mean, he was dribbling past a couple of players at one point. He's playing lovely balls because he's got time. Once you get to a higher level of player, they don't give you time. You can't lift your head.
No, I don't think anybody could argue on that. I think the quality that's in the Scotland squad for these two particular players is better than them. They are good players with Aberdeen, but again, we haven't seen them playing at that level, and that's what that Canadian game was for me. Should have been all about was for the games that Shinnie and McLean. We could see what they do. We saw what the wee boy McGinn did when he came into a friendly, and he looked a wee bit. You went, oh, wait a wee minute, he could be one for the future. So that's what these friendlies are about. And then we see the wee boy here playing with Canada, outstanding. So I think that's what Derek McInnes was saying. Give my guys a chance. Let's see what they can do. But I agree with you. They would have to do something spectacular to force themselves into that Scotland squad.
On a day where I've said Ruffy's made a good point, I'm going to say Ruffy's made 2 good points.
Yeah. This could be a hat trick. It's like Andrew Considine,
we're now getting, match ball for Ruffy.
Yeah.
Falkirk have scored and Queen of the South scored. Peter.
Yeah. Lee Miller has scored for Falkirk to give them the lead against Wraith Rovers. That's a big blow for John Hughes there. He's only going to be there till the end of the season to try and make sure that they're not going down a division. Elsewhere, I can tell you that Son has scored for Spurs. It's Burnley 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2. And I can tell you, Dykes has the goal for Queen of the South. They're 3-2 in front against Dundee United, and Partick are 2 goals to 1 up in their match. And the reason why I like the confidence of certain strikers, Chris Doolan actually had a T-shirt on underneath his thistle top, and it said 100 and counting. Magnificent. You'll love that bit of bravado, Ruffy.
Yeah, you've got to be a wee bit gallus to do that, but you have to have confidence in your own ability as well. And I think he knew he was going to get it sometimes. But no, that's good. I think the supporters will like that. And I used to have one that said second shutout in a row.
I like the one you had against Brazil when you lifted up 4-0 and counting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 101 now.
So he's got both of them,
yeah. What you need there is you need an ink marker just to quickly go out and score the 0 out and then fire it in there. But 101 for Dolan. Although, to be fair to him, he says 100 and counting on his shirt. So well done to him, actually. Another guy that I want to give a mention to, because it's an Athletic 2 Arbroath 4, is Brian Prunty. He scored the goal. What do you remember about Brian Prunty on our programme,
I
Ruffy?
remember Brian Prunty coming on our show and doing the Marathon Man dance.
Yes. He was absolutely sensational at it as well.
I remember that as well. Was that in Stirling?
Yeah. You were with us. You've been. I think you were one of the earliest signings that we made on the programme.
And you've regretted it ever since.
No, you've been a valuable member of the team. It's been absolutely magnificent. You have to have that, that sensible approach. Then you have Ruffy, and then you have Stato, which is Gordon, if he's not stuck in traffic. You need that mix, don't you, Ruffy?
You do. You've got to have a variation.
But Prunty's great, because Prunty is one of these guys who I love talking to and interviewing, because he's been I think he started at Celtic, actually, and he went to Aberdeen. And then I'll have to look up Wikipedia, but he's one of these guys that's done the Grand Tour of Scottish football, a bit like Liam Buchanan.
Yeah, I can tell you this, that I'm going to stick my neck out here. I think Bayern could get all 3 points today as well, Ruffy. They're 6-0 up on Augsburg. Lewandowski scored a hat-trick. It's his 5th hat-trick this season for club and country. He really is top drawer. I think his record is up there with some of the greats at Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I mean that's what we talk about, strikers like that. When you're even in an international game and it's nothing each, and you're looking at players in your team, who's the guy that's going to come up with the goods, and he comes into that category. He just got something. I even seen him taking a penalty. I think it was last week there, and it was just so nonchalant. There's no way I'm missing this. So here, take this.
They're an interesting team this year, because everybody has been talking about, obviously, the Spanish and Barcelona, winning so dramatically against PSG, but very quietly and sort of powerfully at the same time. Ancelotti's meeting a brand there, and I would say that wouldn't be amazing if they actually went on to the final or even won the final of Champions League when Pep Guardiola couldn't do that in 3 seasons there. And I wouldn't rule out Ancelotti for doing it. I think Ancelotti's a really underrated manager at the top level.
I thought he was an underrated player.
Oh, he was. But he was. You could maybe see that up here because of the team he was in. The team he was in was just like the Harlem Globetrotters. I mean, the team was Baresi, Maldini, Costa Curta, Albertini, Hullet, Van Basten. I mean, it was Ruffy on the bench.
I was in an Italian restaurant the other night there, and the waiter was raving about Gentili. He thought he was absolutely, but he actually knew he was a bit of a hatchet man as well.
Gentili Gentili and Benetti were extraordinary. I mean, they wouldn't get away with that nowadays, Just been Tardelli, remember him as well. But I mean, you're right about Ancelotti. He was just a wonderful footballer.
Have you thought about a game that you wish you were at that you?
There's an easy one straight away.
Yeah.
Is I wish I was at Lisbon in 1967.
Yeah.
I would love to have been there. I just reporting on it. I was only 12 at the time, believe it or not, or even been there as a fan. And the funny thing is, when I was 12-year-old and I went up to the primary school to watch it in the telly, they opened up the primary school so we could watch it in the telly. I had in my heart how significant this game was, even at 12. I knew it was a really important day. I knew it was a hugely important day for as a Celtic supporter. So that would be one. If you ask me another game I'd wish I'd be at, a World Cup semi-final in Mexico, West Germany 4, Italy 4, West Germany 3, after extra time. I wish I'd been at that.
It's funny you mention that because I would love to have been at Brazil for Italy 1, Ruffy. I would have needed oxygen because it would be very difficult to breathe at that altitude, but I still would have loved to have been there.
Yeah, I think one of the other the Brazil-Italy game as well, the 3-2 game.
Yeah.
I think that
Rossi scored a hat-trick.
And also if you're a Liverpool supporter in Turkey,
Aye.
that must have been an amazing night, to come back for the death.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any game you wish you'd played in, Ruffy?
Any World Cup final.
I think the Brazil 4, Scotland 1. Wish you'd played in that.
Yeah, so did I actually.
I think we all wish you'd played in that.
To be fair, by the way, I think they opened up our school that night. The whole nation was in anticipation of something special happening, and then we all trudged home. The whole nation let down. It's as simple as that. And I have to tell you, we're going back to St Mirren because it just hasn't been a letdown there at all, Des McKeown.
It hasn't, Peter, and it's now St Mirren 5, Ayr United 2. Farid El Alagoui has just nodded a second goal for Ian McCall's side. Deep cross from the left-hand side. El Alagoui just peeled off his marker. I think it was Andy Webster who's just come on and nodded down into the bottom corner. It's now St Mirren 5, Ayr United 2.
Well, there's a fight back. You're absolutely right. It's just win the second half, boys. Go out and win the second half.
Give us something to hang our hats on for going. I mean, they'd be so up for this match here, and Ian McCall saying, even I would imagine if we get a point for this and move on, that'd be great. Blah, de, blah, de, blah. So now what they've got to do is just say, let's get something out of this. Let's go home. They'll be devastated that they haven't won the game. They'll be devastated that it's 5 that they've conceded. But let's take something for consolation from it. Hull, by the way, are 2-1 up at West Ham, against West Ham as well, which is a huge result in the English Premiership, or a huge score at the moment in the English Premiership. Yep,
Ranocchia getting the goal, and I'm sure they'll be giving Robert Snodgrass pelters for that one, because that does indeed have huge implications at the bottom end. I mean, that is incredible at the bottom now. It's getting ever so tight, and suddenly I think Sunderland, the way that there's such a big gap at the bottom opening up now. There's another goal at St Mirren, would you believe, Des McKeown?
Yeah, calm down, Hugh. It's not another for Ayr United. It is indeed a 6th for St Mirren. This time it's a cross on the left-hand side. John Sutton with the full goal in front of him, nods it against the post. It comes back. Cammy Smith knocks it into the net. It's now St Mirren 6, Ayr United 2.
I don't know if you're aware of this, Robbie, but there's just no time to eat the biscuit. The biscuit's there, it's in the wrapper. Nobody can touch it because there's goal after goal going on there.
Yeah, for United's sake, I hope the 7 doesn't hit the back of the net, because I don't like a 7 because people make hasty reactions with 7s.
Yeah, seven's the number where you feel as if board members start to think we should sack the manager.
Yeah, I do. They have to they start getting, well, we must have a meeting tomorrow and discuss that, and then they all sit round the board meeting, and then obviously views are aired, but I wouldn't like to think that will happen to Ian McCall.
Yeah, okay. Listen, I'm looking at it. Queen of the South 4, Dundee United 2. That is a big scoreline there. Dale Hilson scoring the 4th for Queen of the South. So United, it's been an interesting week. Stephen Thompson interviewed with the Challenge Cup on the table next to him, and talking about the injection of cash. It's supposedly a loan from a Scot who's now working in America, who's a Dundee United fan, to help Dundee United get to the end of the season and then look to the United fans to try and bail the club out of their current financial predicament. Of course, their half-year accounts announced a 1.55 million deficit. So that certainly wasn't positive for them, and Stephen Thompson's not everybody's cup of tea among the Tangerine fans.
Well, it's like everything. Boardrooms only become sort of disliked when things are going badly, and things are not going well. I mean, the club's dropped from the top division into the Championship, so there'll be more scrutiny, and fans will be saying, what's going to happen, and how we're going to get it. The fact of the matter is that the Championship's a hugely difficult league to get out of. You just have to go along and ask Rod Petrie at Hibernian, how difficult it is a league to get out of. I think the way the results are shaping up and the way the season's shaping up at the moment, I think it'd be long odds against. I mean, I think Hibs have won the Championship, and I would think it'd be long odds against Dundee United even winning the best of the Championship at the moment. I think that the slump is quite severe at the moment.
I think when you're the owner of the club, and that family's been an owner of that club for a long, long time, you have to say they've been putting money in left, right and centre. And it's okay putting money in when you're getting a pat in the back, but to be putting money in and people having a go at you every week, I think at one stage you say, well, why am I doing this?
Yeah, well, but you have to, when it's business, you have to look at it in the cold light of day with a level head and think, okay, I'm doing it, and if I want out, I'm going to have to make sure I get the right terms before I leave. I can't just say we're heading towards full time across the country, and Rangers have been slogging away there trying to get the winner, and they haven't quite come up with the winner that they did the last time they faced Motherwell at Ibrox.
Well, not yet.
Yeah.
I mean, but we're in the kind of time where Rangers have in all, that have been good. They came back against Thistle late on.
And the Motherwell one was +4.
Motherwell was right at the death, so one presumes that they're still blowing the bugle and heading towards the Motherwell goal. So, but that'd be excellent for Motherwell. I mean, Motherwell having a point. See today as well, the way the results are going. But the strange one is, of course, the Hamilton one. I wonder what the betting was at half time. Hamilton to win, and they're still drawing nothing each with 9-man St Johnstone.
I would suggest to you that the Neil Lennon spat might be moved off the back page by Danny Swanson and Ricky Foster. I mean, that is going to be the main talking point and the aftermath and the repercussions for both players.
It'll be interesting though to see how Tommy Wright deals with it though, because this is a point now where he knows the story is going to be. When he goes into the press conference, he knows what the story is going to be. What they're going to.
I think Tommy Wright will keep it in house.
That's what I think.
I don't think that'll be thrown out. There'll be a spin put on that.
Yeah.
I'll deal with myself and.
What a big goal. Accies have it. They've scored. Alex de Col has finally managed to break through this, it looked as if it was a resolute line of defending from St Johnstone, but de Col has popped up with what could be a crucial 3 points for the Accies in this game, Ruffy.
That press conference has just changed.
I was thinking, he's attempting
two players have getting slaughtered.
I mean, he's going to be. I agree with him. I think he'll take a deep breath, Tommy, go into the press room and say, I think I'll play a straight back to all this.
Yeah.
It was terrible, we don't like it, deal with it in house. What are you going to do with him? Deal with it in house. I think he will, because if he doesn't, I mean, there's already going to be. I mean, you can imagine, you know, every press conference.
Yeah.
Is this something happening?
Well, we've gone that long without a goal. It's a disgrace. Des really hasn't put in a shift today. Let's find out what's happening there in Paisley.
Finished here in Paisley, Peter. It's St Mirren 6, Ayr United 2. St Mirren came out the traps and have absolutely blown away Ayr United today, and given themselves a real chance of staying in the Championship. They're now only 1 point behind their opponents today, with 6 games to go for Jack Ross's side. Started so well for them early on. Stevie Mallon drilled one in from about 25 yards after only 5 minutes. He then sent in a beautiful free kick that Gary McKenzie nodded into the top corner to make it 2 after 20 minutes. 15 minutes later, it was Stephen McGinn at the back post, knocked in a Stelios Dimitriou cross, and then just before half time, Kyle McGuinness down the right hand side ran past the goalkeeper, slipped into the empty net. Into the second half, goals didn't dry up. It was 5-0. This time Lewis Morgan running in from the left hand side, outside to in, delivered a brilliant shot into the bottom corner to make it 5-0. Ayr United rallied to get 2 goals back by Paul Kearney and Farid El Alagoui, but right on final whistle, Cammy Smith scored St Mirren's 6th goal of the day to make the final score here in Paisley at the 2021 Stadium. St Mirren 6, Ayr United 2.
Incredible. Is there a man of the match for you, Des?
I would have to say, Peter, that every single player for St Mirren were outstanding today. However, I think Stevie Mallon pulled the strings, opened the score and set up the second. He got a standing ovation here coming off the pitch just 10 minutes ago. That's a player who was under a bit of pressure from the fans not so long ago. Stevie Mallon gets my man of the match.
OK, thanks to Des. We'll no doubt hear from the St Mirren manager, and we'll be going to speak to Kevin Harper very shortly to get his thoughts on Dumbarton against Morton. Let me tell you, it's finished at Ibrox. Rangers 1, Motherwell 1. Louis Moult getting the opening goal, and then Joe Gardner with the equaliser. And elsewhere, Partick Thistle have edged it by 2-1, Ruffy, against Ross County. But the story of the day is Danny Swanson and Ricky Foster set 2, sent off at half-time, and then Hamilton knocking on the door consistently until up popped Alex de Call to get the winner against 9-man St Johnstone. 3 points for the Ackies.
That would be the galling thing for St Johnstone. The 9 players who were left on the park have fought tooth and nail to get something out of that, probably for their mates as well, and to lose it so late on, wouldn't like to be in that dressing room at the end.
Inverness, Cali against Kilmarnock, that finished 1-1 as well. Probably a draw, not really what Inverness were looking for as well. You can stay with us, because we will get reaction undoubtedly from Dumbarton, Morton and from St Mirren against Ayr United, and we'll start to look again to Hearts against Celtic. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. Full-time scores on the way. Dumbarton against Morton. Kevin Harper.
Here, Peter, it finished Dumbarton 1, Morton 0, and Jim Duffy must be thinking it's April Fool's. This is a full day because they absolutely dominated the whole game, Peter, apart from 5 minutes in the first half. But the story of the game was Shanklin hit the bar when he should have scored in the first half, and then Russell from Morton clears the ball off the line from Buchanan's header late into the first half. The second half started again, Morton totally dominant, and then Stirling drives into the box, for Dumbarton. The ball breaks to Vaughan and he drills it across Gaston to make it 1-0 to Dumbarton. But after that, Morton had hit the post again with a cross-come shot that hit the inside of the post and bounced out. But over the piece, the game was Morton's. I sit in here disbelief that they've got beat, to be honest, Peter. They were absolutely excellent. They fought right to the end. But credit to Dumbarton, who defended really, really well.
Okay.
Finished here, Dumbarton 1, Morton 0.
Okay, thanks to Kevin Harper for that. He'll go down there and hopefully get a quick chat with one or both of the managers. That would be great for us there. And we'll also hear from a delighted Jack Ross after that win for St Mirren as well. So, full time across the country. Premiership, first of all. Dundee 0, Aberdeen 7 from Friday. Hamilton 1, St Johnstone 0. Inverness Cally Thistle 1, Kilmarnock 1. Partick Thistle 2, Ross County 1. Rangers 1, Motherwell 1. Hearts against Celtic is Sunday 12:30 kick-off. Into the Championship, Dumbarton 1, Morton 0. Dunfermline 1, Hibernian 1. Falkirk 1, Wraith Rovers 0. Queen of the South 4, Dundee United 2. St Mirren 6, Ayr United 2. Into League 1, Alloa 1, Albion Rovers 1. Brecon City 0, Livingston 2. East Fife 0, Queen's Park 0. Peterhead 1, Airdrieonians 1. Stranraer 3, Stenhousemuir 0. And in League 2, Annan Athletic 2, Arbroath 5. Cowdenbeath 1, Clyde 0. Elgin City 2, Berwick Rangers 2. Montrose 3, Edinburgh City 0. Stirling Albion 0, Forfar 3. In the Premier League in England, the early kick-off finished Liverpool 3, Everton 1. Burnley 0, Tottenham 2. Chelsea 1, Crystal Palace 2. Hull City 2, West Ham 1. Leicester City 2, Stoke 0. Manchester United 0, West Brom 0. Watford 1, Sunderland 0. Southampton against Bournemouth is the 5:30 kick-off. That's the full-time scores across the country. Coming up on the programme, we'll hear from Brendan Rodgers and Ian Cathro ahead of Hearts against Celtic in the Premiership tomorrow at Tynecastle. Will it be a title party day for Brendan Rodgers' side? We'll also get reaction from that amazing match at New Douglas Park as well. Join us if you can. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. We are off to Dumbarton to speak to a very happy manager indeed. I'm delighted to say Dumbarton's manager, Steve Aitken, joins us now. Stevie, that must be a big 3 points for you.
Huge come the end of the season. It was a difficult game against a very good Water side, but the players were terrific today. And deserved the 3 points.
Was there a moment in it when Morton are pressurising you? You're thinking to yourself, can we hold on?
About 20 to go. It reminded me of the game 2 weeks ago at Easter Road when we were 2-1 up. And it was like Alamo, and it was difficult. The Morton put a lot into the game, but I've been able to sell one of these watches because mine seemed to stop with 20 minutes to go and doesn't seem to be any quicker.
What pleased you most about the performance of your side today?
I think the battling performance was really good. With 6 games to go, anyway, the parts are, it's maybe not about pretty football. It's about getting results. The players dug in deep today, and I said against a good Morton side. And what pleased me was they never want to give up. This group of players want to keep on going and try and prove a lot of people wrong who adapted at the start of the season to be relegated. And we've given ourselves a chance with 5 games to go.
Yeah, and of course, next week is just a huge game. Everybody will be looking at the performance of your side.
Yeah, we'll go to St Mirren Park. Jack's done a terrific job there. I think his recruitment in January has been excellent, and that's why they're picking up points. And they had a big win today, but we'll go there. We'll try and be positive, and we'll go and try and win again.
Yeah. Do you think it's a slight advantage to them with the game being at New St Mirren Park?
Yeah, I think any team want to have success have to be strong at home. We're strong here at Dumbarton, and St Mirren will be strong at the home park next week. So we'll have to go there. We have to be brave, and we have to play like we can do to try and get something from it. And
just last point on it, Stevie, I don't think you'll be considering it a defining moment, although it'll be a huge game. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think that we've got ourselves in a position now. I think regardless of what happens next week, I think the 4 teams that's involved in it, it's going to go right to the wire. And we've got a couple of games left at home. We're in there in a position that nobody thought we'd been. With 5 games to go, I thought a lot of people would banked us to probably be the team down at the bottom. And with resources, maybe we should be, but what we've got in there is a team that's never say die attitude, and we'll keep on doing that.
Stevie, I think managers always enjoy a night when they can go and have a glass of wine after a hectic 90 minutes. I think you deserve it. Well done.
Appreciate it, Peter. Thank you.
Brilliant. Stevie Aitken there, and you can tell, Ruffy, sometimes, the pressure at this end of it is intense. You just want to get away and say, 3 points.
Yeah, he's right in everything he said. He's the team, that everybody would have been banking on to be rock bottom of that league, particularly with the finances that they've got, but all credit to them. And not just today, but at other games when everybody have written them off, they've responded, and that's what you need. You just need players that can step up to the occasion, and certainly that's the success of Dumbarton this year.
I don't think it'll be the defining moment next week, but it will be huge as far as momentum's concerned, Hugh.
Yeah, it could be a big moment for Dumbarton. I mean, we're all looking at St Mirren being on this roll and thinking St Mirren will rightly be favourites to beat Dumbarton next week. Well, what happens if Dumbarton sneak a win next week? I mean, that would be a defining moment. I think that would take them well clear of relegation and maybe make the playoff place the only possibility for him. I think he's had a great season, Stephen Aitken. I mean, if you look at what he's had to do with the resources he's got, that's what you got to bank on managers about. How they outperform their budget. He's done brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we will be going back to Dumbarton, hopefully to speak to the Morton manager. It's been quite a traumatic week for Jim Duffy. He's been in the eye of the storm. And we'll also hear from the Celtic manager, Brendan Rodgers. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. We're on our way to Dumbarton. I'm delighted to say the Morton manager, Jim Duffy, joins us now. Jim, were you worthy of a point there today?
I think so, Peter. I think the first half, Dumbarton, I thought, edged it. We had one cleared off the line, but we had to clear one off the line, sorry, and then we had another block. And I didn't think we played that well, although we probably should have scored. We hit the underside of the bar and then had a bit of a goal mouth scramble, and we just couldn't get over the line. But I think that had been harsh on Dumbarton. But in the second half, in balance of play, I think we definitely deserved a point.
Were you disappointed with the players, bearing in mind that you'd fought so hard to get a point at Easter Road?
Oh, I mean, I think it was understandable. We put an awful lot of work into that game. It was a heavy pitch, and you could see one or two of them just searching for that wee bit of sharpness. But we grew into the game, and in the second half, particularly in the last half hour, I felt we dominated it. Again, we've hit the underside of the bar, we've hit the post, we've had a couple of clearances with the goal chalked off. So, as I said, I think it wasn't like a desire or effort or any of these things. It was just a little bit of composure in the final moment.
Yeah, it's been a traumatic week. You've been in the eye of the storm with Neil Lennon. I'm going to cut to the chase on some key points that I was wondering if you could give us your thoughts on.
Yeah, you can cut to the chase or you like me. I won't be talking about it. I'm bored to tears with it.
Yeah. Can I ask you this then? Do you think, have you had a chance to chat to your own player? Do you think you need to chat to your own player about his conduct?
Peter, you know me well enough. I'm not going to speak about it. I'm talking about the Dumbarton game. That game's done, gone, finished as far as I'm concerned. We're disappointed about today's performance in terms of the overall result, but in terms of desire and commitment, I was delighted with my players. So I'm afraid you're going to have to ask, someone else about it. Certainly not me.
Yeah, okay. Just one last point then. Nothing to do with the game. Do you anticipate you'll be heading up to the SFA?
Again, don't know. I've never been in that situation before. I already explained that, so we'll wait and see what happens.
No regrets?
Yeah, of course I've got regrets. I shouldn't have, reacted the way I did. So I've already made that statement out that I was embarrassed with my conduct, and I am embarrassed, and I was embarrassed. So I've admitted that, and it's out of character, and let's hope it doesn't happen again, because as I said, it's not something I want to see when I see myself. I say that it's something I wasn't best pleased about.
Jim, you're always forthright in your opinion. Thanks for spending some time with us and giving us your thoughts on today and slightly on the issue as well. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, Peter. Thank you.
Jim Duffy there, the Morton manager, and I think you can understand his stance on it, because it would be adding a little bit of fuel to the fire, but you've got to ask.
Oh, you've got to ask the questions, but we've all been saying that the way forward in this, the way forward in this controversy is just to let it play out. I mean, it's going to go to disciplinary actions, and we've said before, we've said at the beginning of the programme, let's calm this down and move on. That's what he wants to do. Of course, you're right to ask him the questions, and I think he's right to say, listen, I've answered everything, and we'll meet things going forward. And I think it's now going to go into the disciplinary procedure.
Yeah, okay. I think we might be able to go to New St Mirren Park, because I think Des McKeown he's been there all afternoon. He's had a rip snorter of a game. Goals galore. Des is the only way to sum it up.
Oh, yeah, quite a game here, Peter. It was absolutely fantastic. St Mirren came out the blocks, as I said in my match report. I've spoken to Neil Scally, the assistant manager of Ayr United, and just waiting on Ian McCall and Jack Ross to appear. Hopefully get a blether with the two guys and perhaps one or two of the key players in the game. But St Mirren just absolutely blew Ayr United away, 4-0 at half time, and it was notable that the first 5 goal scorers for St Mirren were all midfielders. Well, Gary McKenzie, a defender, but midfielders. They started with Rory Loy up top, with Cammy Smith playing around him. And Rory Loy, I can't even remember having a chance in the match, but St Mirren were just so good, so mobile, and so much on the front foot that there were chances dropping to just about everybody in the team, apart from Rory Loy. So a very, very impressive performance by Jack Ross's players. Could anything take away from their performance today and what happened at Dumbarton? Because I don't think maybe would they have anticipated Dumbarton taking anything from that game? What I would suggest, Peter, is Jack Ross will know that some of the results this season in the Championship have, they've been strange to say the least. when you consider that St Mirren beat Hibernian here 2-0. Dumbarton have picked up important points throughout the course of the campaign. Ayr United had 2 recent victories that nobody would have given them the chance of having. So nothing really surprises anyone. I think the big point for Jack Ross is that their fate is now in their own hands, and once again another big game next week where St Mirren play Dumbarton clearly. So I think Jack Ross will just take the positives out of his own team's performance, and so he should. They were absolutely terrific.
Yeah. Okay, Des, we're going to come back to you when the managers are close by. Stories emerging from New Douglas Park, Hugh McDonald. It doesn't look good for St Johnstone players.
Well, we've got a statement from Police Scotland saying arrests have been made at the park. Now, that could be they're not saying that it's players or whatever. It could be in the stands, but reporters at the game seem to be suggesting that the police have visited dressing rooms. So there might be action on this. There might be. Remember, this didn't happen during the match either, or during the play. It happened when half time had occurred. So there might be. I mean, it's only allegations, but we know that Police Scotland have said, we've received reports of a disturbance at the stadium and we're responding to it. The incident is ongoing. There have been a number of arrests. So leave that. I think we can safely say that this is a developing story, Peter, and one that might dominate both the news pages and the back pages tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Ruffy, the news from Ibrox, I think Pedro Cachina has said there was a triple substitution at half-time and it was down to injury and illness. Wallace and Hill injured and Hodgson had a fever.
Yeah, well, sometimes if that is the situation, sometimes you take a gamble and the players, you obviously ask the players how bad they are, you know, and if the player says, no, let me get 45 minutes or let me see where it go, you go along with that. Sometimes that can be a good decision, sometimes it can't. I just thought, you know, that when the substitutions came, for it to be the 3 players in defence rather than anybody else, there has to be that kind of reason. But again, you know, you take your chance. We've saw it happening in a lot of cup finals where there's a player not being 100% fit, and because he's a big player in the team, you give him a shout, and sometimes only lasts 6 or 7 minutes. But that's the gamble you take.
Yeah, the big result has to be for Aberdeen, because their win last night and suddenly Rangers slipping up today. They're not going to squander 10 points, are they?
I would think it would be highly unlikely. I really, it's particularly given the respective forms of the teams. I think Aberdeen have got what St Mirren have as well, is that little bounce in their step, you know, which you can't even put a price on or a premium. I think Aberdeen will be looking very strongly at second, Peter.
Okay, Championship, our destination is Paisley, and once again Des McKeown is there with a jubilant St Mirren manager Jack Ross.
Yes, standing with Jack Ross here at the Paisley 2021 Stadium, and it's fair to say, Jack, that your players were terrific today.
Yes, we understood the significance of the game. We've been in good form though as well, and I think that continued today. Our first half performance in particular was outstanding. I don't think the manner of the result flattered us in any way. Obviously, as a manager, you always pick the bones out the last few bit of the game where we concede a couple of goals, but I can't be critical of my players. They were outstanding today, as they have been over the last few months.
And it was interesting that the first 5 goal scorers, none of them playing in the forward third of the pitch as strikers. So the mobility of your team and the flexibility of the players within that formation was very evident today.
Yeah, it's what I've always wanted to have here. We've got there eventually, I think, since the January window, and we picked a bold team today. But that 6, if you like, you know, middle to front, the midfield 4 and the front 2, we always knew the mobility and flexibility they have within their own positions and their quality as well, and that was what we had today, the quality, but also we were ruthless today. Last week we played really well for the first 45 minutes of the cup final, but we weren't ruthless. Today we were ruthless with our opportunities, and we got our rewards for that.
And it goes without saying that now your own destiny is in your hands. You know, you've now got to be within a point of Ayr United. You've got a game in hand. How much of a boost is that for you and the players?
Yeah, because they need some tangible reward. There's at times the message we stressed beforehand is we've had to work incredibly hard to be alive and kicking at this stage of the season, because a few months ago we were cut adrift, we've been written off. It's been an enormous amount of hard work, but we didn't want that to go to waste. We don't want it to go to waste, so it's a case of continuing to do that on a week-to-week basis. we're still in the most difficult position in the league, we understand that, but there is a huge amount of belief and optimism within this group, the group and the club, you know, that we can continue to play in the manner we are.
And another quiet game next Saturday. You've got Dumbarton here. How do you prepare for that now?
Yeah, for me as a manager, the preparation begins now. In terms of we start to plan our week. For the players, there is a lighter schedule, not in terms of how often they're in, but in terms of the work we do in the training pitch. But towards the end of the week, our preparation is consistent, and how we work towards the opposition, that'll be the same. And there's a lot of things we work on that we do well, and we want to continue to do well. So the players understand the significance of next week as well. The support do as well. I'm sure they'll turn out in as bigger numbers as they did today. The numbers that came in today were outstanding for a team that's bottom of the championship. And in a strange way, I look forward to it. I said that to the players before the game. These are the games as players that you should get that wee lift from. You want to be involved, and I mean, they responded in a brilliant manner.
Well, it's fair to say that I'll be asking if I can be here next week, so all the best with your week's preparation. We'll maybe be speaking to you again this time next Saturday.
Cheers, thanks Des.
Yep, Des McKeown, I don't think there's any doubt about it. He'll be there next week. I think we'll all be there. We might as well do an outside broadcast from there, Rocky. That's how important that game is.
Yeah, I think that's where the supporters will want to be. I think there'll be a good atmosphere at that one. I think everybody will turn up just looking at the league table. Still got a game in hand, still sitting down there, you know, so... Yeah, but I think scoring 6 goals and getting into any game, you're going to go into them with confidence, and I think that's what will happen next week.
Yep. I agree. I think if you look to the bare bones of the table, you still see St Mirren bottom, but that just shows you that tables don't tell the full story. They're on a run, they've been playing well. That's a fantastic result from today. Huge game next week. But Dumbarton, Dumbarton, that's a smashing result for Dumbarton today as well, you know. But that's a great game going next weekend. It's just a matter of the only question about next Saturday at the 2021 stadium, is there enough biscuits there to satisfy Des McKeown?
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you, the slip up from Hibs again, Ruffy, Dunfermline won, Hibs won.
Yeah, no, there is a gap there. There's a 9-point gap, you know, but the folk underneath there will be, Peter Houston will be saying to his players, like, 9 points, a lot of big games, they're not winning games comfortably, you know, let's have a wee charge.
Yeah, OK, let's go to Paisley because Ian McCall speaking to Des McKeown.
Yeah, joined by Ayr United manager Ian McCall. Peter, Ian, it's safe to say the game didn't start particularly well for you. Are there any positives for you during the course of the 90 minutes?
No. We actually thought that, you know, I know it was only 3 or 4 minutes, but we had a great set play, a couple of corners. But then young Malin, you know, it was a goal right out of the blue and it was out the top drawer. I mean, I'm not sure we could have done much more. He's hit an unbelievable strike. And after that, I thought we looked leggy, really leggy. We've had a lot of games recently, and whilst not making excuses for myself or the staff, but I said to the players after it, you know, we had Devlin and Crawford and Docherty, big players for us, Balatoni, who have, literally done no training in 3 weeks and they've been having to play. And I thought that caught up on us, and you add that with a very good St Mirren team who are playing with a bit of confidence. Jack's made a number of signings, as they should. They're a big club, they have every right to do that, and it's worked out for them. But you know, Jack will know they're still in it as well, so are we, so are Dumbarton, so are Raith Rovers. I think Queen of South are probably okay now with their win today. So, you know, next week we play Queens, we've got to go and win.
And does this, without a midweek game this week, does that help you, obviously, in that preparation?
Well, it does. When you only train Tuesday and Thursday, yeah, it absolutely does. And, you know, we'll get the boys in, and a lot of them probably won't be able to train Tuesday, but we'd hope to have most players been able to do a training session on Thursday.
Ian, we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Cheers.
Difficult circumstances, coming out to speak to us here to give us his thoughts. It's going to be a battle at the bottom. That one could go right down to the wire. I'll tell you the ongoing story from New Douglas Park, Hugh, is very interesting indeed, because obviously you've mentioned there that the police were informed of an incident at the ground, and that incident were led to believe from countless reports has been Danny Swanson and Ricky Foster and a number of other players involved in this fracas.
Well, it's hugely interesting because people always say, oh well, it's football, it's sacrosanct, but it's not. I mean, you know, there's not a kind of immunity on a football park for any alleged assaults or alleged violent action. Duncan Ferguson will tell you that for a kick-off.
Frank McAvenny will tell you that. Yeah.
And Terry Butcher and the rest. So, yeah, that's interesting. We have got that statement from Police Scotland, which is saying that they are investigating incidents and arrests have been made. Now, these arrests, of course, we don't know who they are or what they are, but it is building up to being a very interesting story, and one which I suggest, as we said earlier, might feature more on the news pages than on the back pages tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm no 100% convinced the police getting involved in two players on it. I can see why they have to. Well, they have to be shown to be doing something like that. But I mean, we haven't seen how bad it was, the incident itself. But I would like to think that our own authorities should be dealing with it, more rather than the police. I think when you get the police involved, it drags on and on and on. I mean, we're still getting arrests for the Hibs game. People getting 150 odd. So. No, I think the police are right to show an interest in what has happened, but after that, I would think our association should deal with it.
Okay, well, from the results today, I think Ruffy's old side will certainly be happy with a 2-1 win. That was a big win for them, and congratulations to Chris Dillon, 100 goals for Partick Thistle, and then he popped up with another one to make it 101 as well. Just before we hear from Brendan Rodgers, the last word from the Paisley Stadium. It's been a great afternoon, 8 goals to savour, and St Mirren, the great escape, I feel, is on, and you can sense from the ground, the fans, the players, everyone connected with St Mirren, Des, that they feel as if there's going to be a happy ending to this story.
Yeah, the tide's definitely turned, Peter. I've been coming to the Paisley 2021 Stadium throughout the season, and today I have to say the reaction from the stands towards the players during the half-time break and also at the final whistle, and I mentioned in my match report after you asked me to pick a man of the match, the ovation that Stevie Mallon took tells you that there is a real feel-good factor around this stadium. Jack Ross has instilled a confidence in his players, and that confidence is certainly coming through in results and indeed the reaction from the fans. So yes, I think the great escape is very much still on. I did say last week from Easter Road that I don't think St Mirren will finish even in the 9th position. I think they'll get to at least 8th and possibly to 7th. I think that the momentum is definitely with them. They've got the best record in the Championship over the last 6-7 games, and I don't see that changing any time soon, although Stevie Aitken, a young man that I have the greatest of respects for, will bring his side here next week to try and make sure that they take all 3 points. But in terms of St Mirren, it's been one heck of a positive day for them.
Okay, thanks to Des for giving us all the updates from St Mirren, and of course getting both managers too. We're going to switch our attention to a game taking place tomorrow, Hearts against Celtic. It's a huge one for Celtic because if they win, they will have won the Championship, and of course it's their 6th Premiership title in a row. Here's Brendan Rodgers' take on the title looming ever closer.
Well, it'll be a huge honour for me in relation to taking the club in my first year here to the title. I always said that we were coming off the back of 5 titles before that. Neil and Ronnie done fantastic jobs. Of course, we wanted to continue with that. But I said when I came in, my job was to win it in the best way we possibly could. There's different ways to win. People will tell you that have experienced that you can win something and it not be the same feeling, but to win and foster the spirit that we have here throughout the whole football club can make it really special, and also the way we've played football. So for me to share that with the players and the coaching staff and everyone at the club, to make everyone a champion, of course, will be really special.
Summing up Celtic's achievements since he's taken over.
Domestically, absolutely 100%. You can't have even a sliver of a question about it. They've been invincible domestically. He's improved players. He's improved every player. He's improved some players spectacularly so. So no problems that. He'll look at Europe. I think he'll accept the 7-0 against Barcelona, as he has to. I think he'll look at the German result against Borussia Mönchengladbach at home and think that's probably the most disappointing game of the season for him. He'll be looking about improving. He's looking about going forward, but you've got to say, I mean, yes, everybody expected Celtic to win the league. I mean, they should win the league. But the way they've gone about it, the way he's managed the team tactically, the way he's improved individual players, I think he's been absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, of course, Celtic fans will be heading to Tynecastle in the capital, hoping for a title party celebration. We caught up with one particular Celtic fan who obviously is clearly delighted at the prospect of Celtic winning 6 in a row. Brian Gilmore gave us his thoughts on the title party.
The winning at Tynecastle, I wouldn't be surprised if Aberdeen didn't win at Dundee, and then we're all sitting in our living rooms celebrating a title. But it's nice to win at a ground with an atmosphere like Tynecastle. That would be something special. So
yeah.
that would be.
What do you make of Brendan Rodgers and the side he's built this season?
I think it's been Martin O'Neill-esque for people of my generation, probably Jockstein-esque for people of an even older generation. The transformation that one manager has made is just unbelievable. The fact that we've been able to secure such a great manager is fantastic. And then the gauge of a good manager is not just people are judged on their signings, but it's also what they've been able to make out of the players who are already there. And I suppose one of the big things with Brendan is the transformation in some of the players who are already there. Boyata since Christmas becoming a first-team regular, Stuart Armstrong having what Gordon Strachan described as one of the best Scotland debut ever. So it's not just about the players he's brought in, it's what he's done to transform the existing players. It's just fantastic to watch.
And do you think domestically the biggest challenge next season will come from Rangers or out with the Ibrox club?
Well, I said I was asked somewhere else earlier in the season, the beginning of the season, virtually the same question. And I said I thought if Rangers finished third or fourth, they'd done well. And people laughed at me. And I think that's been proved to be the case. The issue for a challenge next season, where that comes from, really comes down to the fact that Aberdeen will be losing between 2 and 4 of their better players and how well they do. If they manage to replace them wisely, I think it'll still be Celtic well ahead with Aberdeen, Rangers and maybe Hearts battling it out for second, third and fourth place.
What do you make of that, Robbie?
Yeah, I agree with most of the things he said. I think the difference with this manager to the 2 previous ones, I think we're led to believe that Neil Lennon left because he knew there wasn't going to be a money spend. The board had decided there was a route they were going down, which was buying in the young players for the future. Neil didn't fancy that, so he moved on. The next manager, Ronnie Delia, came in and went along with that project, and it turned out a disaster. But this manager won't rest until he's challenging in Europe, and I think the board have been dragged along now with a manager who wants to progress year on year, which has been different from the last 2. So I think it'll be really interesting for the Celtic supporters. Again, we keep talking about what money's going to be available for Rangers. I think what money's going to be available for this manager and what kind of players are going to be coming in, because I think Brendan Rodgers knows if he is using this as a stepping stone to get into England, he's going to be judged in Europe, and he's wanting the ammunition to make sure that his CV goes up dramatically from last year.
Well, tomorrow, Hearts are certainly not there to make up the numbers, and their manager, Ian Cathro, certainly doesn't want to be privy to a Celtic title celebration.
You have to fully respect the level of consistency that they've shown across it. They've been able to use their squad. There's a lot of positive things, and at the point, we all know that they will win the league, and when they do win the league, then like everyone in the league who's part of this competition, I'll be respectful of that and would congratulate them for what they've done. But I'm not too interested in that right now.
Yeah, well, I don't think he would want to be, the sideshow there. I think, does he have any kind of point to prove and just to show, the change and the development against the Celtic side?
He's got points to prove every week, Peter. I mean, he just has. I mean, when the situation was an interview just before Robbie Neilson went to MK Dons, and Anne Budge was asked, what's your business plan? The business plan was, we improve year by year. Last year we were third. We want to be second this year. That's not happening. That's just not going to happen. They're now looking at, they're sitting in 5th place. They can go 4th tomorrow with a win over Celtic. But they're sitting in 5th place at the moment, and Hearts, the way Hearts were configured was not to finish 5th in the league. And the way Anne Budge's expectations is not to finish 5th. So, yes, he's under pressure. Yes, he's got points to prove. I think he's still got time. I think the unfortunate thing about him is he's become a lightning rod a bit, Cathro. For people who don't like coach laptop managers, they're bashing him. For people who like to see innovation in the game, they're overpraising him. I think the truth's somewhere in between. Like any young man coming into the game, I'd like to see him do well. I think he's still got time, but every match he will be judged. It's just the way of the game, and what he does in the summer in conjunction with Craig Levein will be very interesting to see what he does in the summer.
Yeah, and who better to judge them than Hearts fans? We caught up with one of them, Alan Young, to get his thoughts on Cathro and the team.
I was thinking about that last night. I was talking to my wife about it last night, actually. And the analogy I came up with was we've had a bit of a Forrest Gump kind of season. That much like his box of chocolates, you just don't know what you're going to get when we turn up in the park. It's as simple as that.
We've had Austin McPhee on the programme. He's a guy with a really good CV and a good reputation within football. Cathro equally so. What are you hoping to see from his side to the tail end of the season and hopefully next season?
I think, to be honest, the tail end of this season, I think if they play a few of the fringe players like Cathro suggested, he will play. Maybe some of the younger guys from the under-20s. And I think we just need to write off the last half dozen to whatever games this season, move on, and he needs to have a good summer.
I didn't really want to get involved in all the hullabaloo over whether Craig Levein helps him or not. I think Ian Cathro is very much part of a Tynecastle team. He'll take help from everywhere as long as it gets results. What did you make of that, Craig Levein's involvement?
Well, Cathro seems to be suggesting that he's asked for Craig Levein's help. If that's the case, I've got no problem with it at all. If he's being leaned on from above, as certainly some pundits seem to reckon, then yeah, that's a different matter entirely, and that needs to be knocked in the head if it's the case.
Yeah, over the summer, there are obviously going to be new recruits. He'll want to build his own side. Do you think he needs to place more of an emphasis on homegrown players, or do you think, it's where you can get a bargain?
I have a funny feeling he might place emphasis on homegrown talent. I think the January window's been a bit of a funny one, that a new coach coming in, there's only so many options open to him in a January window. So, given the summer, he's had a bit more time back in the country from being down south, and maybe seeing what he wants, where he wants to go, and the kind of player that he can pick up in Scotland.
Yeah, and the last point here, I know you live quite a distance away from Edinburgh. Can I just tell you, it's still a fantastic city. You need to come back a wee bit more often.
Well, we get back as often as we can. And, well, the only thing that I miss about living in Edinburgh is being so close to Tynecastle and being able to just chip up. And obviously I miss midweek games and things being up here.
Alan Young, a Hearts fan there, looking over the Ian Cathro era. Interesting that I think he is indicative of many a Hearts fan, Ruffy, just waiting to see what develops over the summer.
Yeah, but I think with the amount of fans that Hearts have got, as Hugh's pointed out, where they are in the league, and where they are in the league means no European football. And I think that'll be a massive disappointment. I think the fans will have their feelings felt about that one. If we'd been in, all right, it wasn't that good the other year there, but when you're at a club like Hearts and they've got 16,000 supporters, I think Europe's a must.
OK, Hearts against Celtic. We'll get these guys to give us their prediction on that match after the break. And we'll also go back over the full-time scores across Scotland and in the Premier League in England. Certainly the story that's emerging from today's football, it's not about Jim Duffy or Neil Lennon. It's all about Danny Swanson and Ricky Foster because both these players have had an altercation at half-time. There's been police involvement, and we're not quite sure what has happened with regards to any possible charges on these two players or any others involved in it. But the story is ongoing as we speak. We'll go back over that in a match that Alex de Col popped up with a winner for Hamilton against 9 men of St Johnstone. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. If you've been with us for the entire afternoon, full marks to you. We've enjoyed your company, certainly your tweets and the messages on Facebook as well. At Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. The main story today is from New Douglas Park. Two players involved in a fight, it seems, and both players from the same team, Danny Swanson and Ricky Foster. There has indeed been a statement released by St Johnstone. Hugh McDonald.
Well, it's Tommy Vite talking after the game. He's played it pretty straight and pretty smart, as you would expect. He said he didn't see the incident because he was halfway down at the tunnel. But he's been very clear. He says, if what is alleged to have happened has happened, we will come down hard on both players. Both players have been told in front of the whole team that have let the team down. And he goes on to say they will get a fair investigation. But I have warned them that the hardest punishment I can legally do, I will do if what is alleged to have happened has happened.
Well, ominous, Ruffy, that statement from the manager.
Yeah, I think the heaviest fine nowadays is something like 2 weeks' wages, which is severe for the best of times for anybody. But no, I think that's the way we thought Tommy Wright would deal with it. You know, he would probably have liked to deal with in-house, but he's got to speak to the media. And I think it's been a professional approach, you know, to look into the matter, talk to the two players, try and get an understanding of how it happened, and then move on, because they've got an important end of the season as well, and they don't want to be derailed by something like this.
Yeah, and in the end, it's been costly. I mean, I can't quite work out why you would fight, you know, with your teammate at a time when all they're thinking about is top six, the plaudits that have been coming their way. Suddenly, Alex de Col pops up. It's been great for Hamilton Accies because at the bottom end, that is a huge lifeline for them.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, we speak about it nearly every week that Hamilton have got one goal in it. It didn't look as if they were going to have any goals against 9 players, never mind 11, but they've got it. They'll move on. They'll take it very gratefully. They'll look at the games that are coming up and hope that they can build on this. But no, it's a super result for Hamilton.
Yep, and again, elsewhere, I think Inverness don't really need a draw at this end of the business end of the season.
We've been saying that for ages. They really need picking up 3 points. That's a better result for Kilmarnock than it is, you know, for Inverness. And it takes Kilmarnock another point away from, you know, from the trouble. They're gently gliding away from it now. Inverness, and you know, really very much in it, Peter.
Okay, let's quickly go through the full-time scores from across the country in the Premiership. If you have just joined us, here's how the matches finished today. Hamilton 1, St Johnstone 0. Inverness Cally Thistle 1, Kilmarnock 1. Partick Thistle 2, Ross County 1. Rangers 1, Motherwell 1. Hearts against Celtic kicks off tomorrow at 12:30. In the Championship, Dumbarton 1, Morton 0, Dunfermline 1, Hibernian 1, Falkirk 1, Wraith Rovers 0, Queen of the South 4, Dundee United 2, St Mirren 6, Ayr United 2. In League 1, Alloa 1, Albion Rovers 1, Brecon City 0, Livingston 2, East Fife 0, Queen's Park 0, Peterhead 1, Airdrie 1, Stranraer 3, Stenhousemuir 0. In League 2, Annan Athletic 2, Arbroath 5, Cowdenbeath 1, Clyde 0, Elgin City 2, Berwick Rangers 2, Montrose 3, Edinburgh City 0, Stirling Albion 0, Forfar 3. And in the Premier League in England, Liverpool 3, Everton 1, Burnley 0, Tottenham Hotspur 2, Chelsea 1, Crystal Palace 2, Hull City 2, West Ham 1, Leicester 2, Stoke 0, Manchester United 0, West Brom 0, Watford 1, Sunderland 0, and Southampton against Bournemouth has kicked off, and it's still 0-0 as we speak. So that's you completely up to date with the scores from across the country, north and south of the border. Congratulations also, Ruffy, to East Kilbride, the Lowland League champions, after beating Gallifreydine 6-1 away today.
Yeah, they were a great season. You know, I think not so long ago we were all celebrating that fantastic run they went on, and all credit to them. You know, and these kind of teams look to improve year on year. They want to be part of the big time, and obviously they'll be keeping their eyes in the bottom of that League 2 for us, because Clyde are getting mighty close to the bottom of that, and I think if they were to go down into that league, I think it would be curtains for a famous club like Clyde.
I agree with you, and that result today, that's one of the most crucial results today. Cowdenbeath have, you know, almost bridged the gap, but certainly closed the gap on Clyde with that 1-0 victory today. That's a huge result in Scottish football today.
Yep, in the Premiership, I don't think the Rangers fans will be too happy at, you know, a couple of points dropped, Ruffy, but again, I think Pedro Caixinha is learning lessons day by day. The same type of problems that had actually beset Mark Warburton's Rangers.
Yeah, I think he's got the same problems. I mean, you look at the 11 that he put out there and you would have to say that's not a bad side. They've done okay, but then you look at the bench and You know, you wonder what's going to come on, and to make these 3 substitutions, it just showed you how light they are, you know, when any decent quality that's going to go on and win a game for him. So I think he'll just be looking for a momentum leading up to the Celtic games, which are nearly back-to-back now, so 2 massive games coming up.
Yeah, but strange. 2 of them back-to-back. They obviously wanted the league game as early as possible, just to make sure that, you know, it doesn't go, you know, we don't get into a situation where, you know, there's a tension in it. I mean, I think the SPFL will be hoping that Celtic do indeed wrap it up at Tynecastle tomorrow.
Yeah, and I suppose that is one of the imperatives that they've got to think about. I think, though, you know, there's been a lot of, I mean, the whole Rangers thing with the support has gone, is swirled so volatile, you know, they're good, they're bad, they're rotten, they're great, they're, you know, from result to result. The fact of the matter is they're the 3rd best team in the league. At the moment, and there's a bit of realism's got to come in that Kashina is going to need time because he hasn't had any time to put his own print on it as far as recruits are concerned. So it'll be interesting to see what he does in the summer. The 2 Celtic games are coming up. You would think that, you know, that Celtic would be very strong favourites in my mind to win those matches. I think they put in a sort of disappointing performance against Rangers at Celtic Park, but I think that might serve as geeing them up. I'm interested in Alan's point, you know, that Celtic might be a bit leggy, and I'm just wondering, will Rodgers address that by doing a bit of rotation or whatever, you know, because he's got a deep squad.
Yep, he has, but I don't think he'll do anything until after the 2 Rangers games are out of the way.
I think
Then
you're
you'll start to
probably right.
see, you know, fringe players coming in.
And I think as well, if the invincible thing keeps going, I think he's very keen on that. And I think inside the dressing room, that's been a real motivational tool. And I think, you know, normally if they'd lost a couple of games or 30 points, he'd be literally sending players on holiday because the season starts so quickly. I don't think he'll be doing that. I think this invincibility thing, if it continues, will be a strong motif in the Celtic dressing room.
Yeah, there's been so much to talk about today, Ruffy, but have we given enough credit to Aberdeen over the season when you consider what they've achieved this season?
Yeah, I think it's because Celtic are so far ahead, you know, and last year we were talking about 1 point a gap, 2 points, 3 points, when now it's just a landslide. And I think that's why nobody's bothering. That's why I think that it's crucial for Derek McInnes and the players to get to a final. If Aberdeen get to a final, and then, you never know, they might win it, that would be a massive season for Aberdeen. Massive.
I agree. I think the best of Aberdeen's season is in front of them and could be in front of them despite that fantastic run. I think they've got to get to the Scottish Cup final.
What do you mean by got to? There's criticism coming their way?
If they get beat in the semi-final from a championship team, that's just going back to the old Aberdeen. You always come to Hampden, you always do this, we always have promises, and you get beat, you know, by Hibs, you know, that would be a huge body blow at them. There's no escaping huge criticism. If you get beat by a team in a different division, there's no escaping criticism for that, Peter. But I think they're reaching their form and their momentum. I watched them last night, and honestly, Dundee were woeful. But I think sometimes you take your eye off what the team that's winning's doing, and I thought Aberdeen were excellent.
Yeah, can I just say to you, your old side Hibs look as if they're limping over the line to the championship.
Yeah, instead of making it really comfortable for them, they aren't. You know, they're giving the team, Falkirk at this moment in time, a bit of hope. You know, that if they continue to draw gains and Falkirk obviously pick up 3 points, that gap can close, you know, very, very quickly. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of important games coming up, but we still think that. I think Hibs should hold on.
That James Keaton's goal the other week, how important that is, you know, because that took away a whiff of hope from Falkirk, I think.
Yeah, and in the championship, I think we've got to pay tribute to St Mirren. The bandwagon just keeps rolling on. What a result today. 6-2 against Ayr United, Hugh.
Yeah, a hugely important result, you know, crucial result.
Yeah, you have to remember as well, it's not that long ago that Jack Ross was in amongst the supporters, you know, because they were venting their feelings of the way the club was going, and Jack, being big enough, went in amongst them and had a chat with them and said, look, calm down, we'll get there, you know, I'm bringing in players, blah, blah, blah. And again, it's good that a board could have, at that particular time, panicked, although he was just a young guy coming into a job, but they stood by him. And now they're getting the rewards.
And what they did as well, they were very proactive in the transfer window. They didn't want to lose Kyle McAllister. They did lose him. They accepted that. But they recruited very well, and they're paying the price for a bit of stability and a bit of good thinking.
Yep, well done to Jack Ross and his side today. We spoke to Jim Duffy, the Morton boss. He avoided, adding fuel to the fire on the Neil Lennon debate. But I think the back pages tomorrow of the Sunday newspapers will all be about two players in particular. It's a story that's growing arms and legs as we speak. Danny Swanson and Ricky Foster in big trouble. Who knows? It could be with the law as well. We will follow the developments of that and Celtic's performance at Tynecastle on Monday's show at 7. From Hugh, Ruffy and myself, thanks for watching. Good night.